Good afternoon, Pitkin County. It is Wednesday, May 27th, 2026. We're waiting for the church bells to see if the church bells ring before the firehouse. But it is high noon on Main Street. Welcome. Additions or deletions to today's agenda?
There are no additions or deletions to today's agenda.
Excellent. Public comments unrelated to today's agenda in front of us. Please approach. Yeah, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Hi, Pitkin County Commissioners. My name is Katia Galembos. I'm a Pitkin County resident. I represent a group of community members concerned with the use of automated license plate reader ALPR cameras in Pitkin County. ALPR cameras represent a rapidly expanding form of surveillance technology. While often introduced for public safety and while they can serve legitimate law enforcement purposes, these systems collect and store large amounts of data about residents and visitors, often without their knowledge or meaningful consent. Without clear safeguards, this raises serious concerns about privacy, civil liberties, and the potential for misuse. Colorado law bans local law enforcement from sharing personally identifying information with federal agencies for immigration purposes. Despite this law, outside agencies across the country, sometimes including federal agencies, have included ALPR data from Pitkin County, Snowmass Village, Glenwood Springs, and other Colorado jurisdictions in their license plate searches for immigration-related information. Often this data was accessed without the local police department's knowledge nor permission. The very architecture of how ALPR companies are operated, how the data is stored, and how the data is searched creates opportunities for misuse and puts our immigrant neighbors at risk, even if unintentionally. Aspen Journalism reported Pitkin County has paused sharing data with federal agencies directly involved in immigration enforcement, like ICE and HSI. However, other federal agencies may still access personal information for immigration-related purposes because it is not possible to fully predict which federal agencies will or will not conduct immigration-related searches. For example, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, which we don't normally associate with immigration enforcement, conducted immigration-related searches via the Loveland, Colorado Police Department's ALPR data in 2025. So under Pitkin County's ALPR data sharing policies, the door is still open for some federal agencies to search the data for immigration enforcement, leaving the county vulnerable to a Colorado law violation. I urge Pitkin County to pause ALPR technology use until the sheriff's office, at a minimum, eliminates data sharing with all external agencies. I also urge stronger transparency and accountability measures, upholding community oversights and decisions about surveillance technologies, and engaging the community in meaningful consent to the technology. Pitkin County is strongest when decisions are made with the trust and participation of its people. Residents deserve to know how surveillance tools are used, what data is collected, how long it is stored, and who has access. And especially in the current moment when ICE is routinely making warrantless arrests in Colorado, our local government should not leave any doors open that leave immigrants in our community more vulnerable. Myself and other concerned community members are happy to meet to discuss our concerns and recommendations. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks for your time. Thanks for the comment.
Your name?
Katia Galembos.
Katia. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah.
coming
I also have materials.
Please.
Thank you, Ed.
Further public comment unrelated to today's agenda?
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Tracy Zabel. I'm also speaking about the automatic license plate readers, and I just wanted to give an update that I'm a concerned citizen, and I've been so fortunate to work with Katia and other community members who couldn't be here today, but we've had the good fortune to meet with the police department of the city of Aspen, and also we discussed this at the Snowmass Town Council, and the chief of police of Snowmass was very receptive to our comments, and so I just want to publicly express how grateful I am that these police departments are so respectful and listen to us, and I just feel so thankful to live in this community because people are not received this kindly in other parts of the world where they're trying to bring up concerns about this stuff. So I just feel really thankful for that. And I'm so thankful to live here. I live in Garfield County, but I come and work in Aspen a lot and also play in Pitkin County often. And I have coworkers who work in Aspen daily. They commute from Down Valley because they have to for financial reasons, but they are people who would be targeted according to how ICE is acting based on the color of their skin or their first language, even though they're U.S. citizens. So I want to fight for the safety of my community, and one way to do this is to fight authoritarianism, and it's important to not comply or obey in advance when we're talking about mass surveillance. And I wanted to share this image of these are the ALPR's cameras across the country right now. And so this is just one way we're being mass surveilled. And that's in addition to companies like Palantir, who are committing egregious crimes against humanity. Meanwhile, the CEO has become our neighbor by buying that $120 million property. And so I just wanted to publicly state that I'm not okay with this. We also have facial recognition, and we're tracked on our phones. We're tracked to our credit card purchases. And so what can we do in our community to stop anything about this? It's to say no to these ALPR cameras, which also use a ton of data because they're AI based. And so all these data centers that are using up our resources that we needed in this valley, like water, jobs, let's say no to it. I just think it's important for the public to be educated. Also, we're talking about this in Glenwood Springs, and there are 20 flock cameras there, and people think they're the same thing as the speed cameras, and they're not. And so we want the public to be aware of what's happening. And I just think it's important to not set up the systems that allow our federal government, who's acting with impunity and not complying with human rights. They're just not treating humans as they should be, because no one deserves to be kept in these detention centers are like concentration camps. And even if one family's father is abducted, that's so much trauma for those children, for the mom, for anyone who's in that person's community, let alone for the person who's having to be kidnapped and detained. And so, yeah, I just wanted to speak out against that, and I wanted to share a quote. This was on, is it 3 minutes? That's okay.
Share the quote.
The quote? Okay. It's from Free Talk Live, and it says, "You have every right to know what your government is doing, and they have no right to know what you are doing. That is why they are called public servants, and we are called private citizens. Instead, the relationship has been inverted. The state hides behind secrecy, classified files, and redactions while demanding total visibility into your finances, communications, movement, and behavior. A society where the rulers live in privacy while the population lives under surveillance is the very definition of tyranny." Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Further public comment unrelated to today's agenda.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. For the record, my name is Toni Kronberg, and I wanted to follow up on a question that I brought before the Board of County Commissioners at your last meeting during the 3-minute public comment period. And it has to do with the land use application process that's known as the location and extent. And I'd like to know what the question I brought up was the public's really confused as to what a location and extent application is all about, what the standard of review is, how it's supposed to work. As we know, the Board of County Commissioner, you're allowed statutorily to overrule the planning and zoning when they've made a denial of a land use application. The question is, what standard of review are you using? Are you going to be using administrative, executive, legislative, quasi-judicial? Are you going to be conducting a brand new review or a review on the record? And I haven't been able to see if there's anything yet that's been put out to the public so that the public understands what a location and extent review by the Board of County Commissioners is after Planning and Zoning has issued a denial of a land use application. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Further public comment online or in the room? Seeing no hands, bring it back to the board. Looking for commissioner comments. Commissioner Clapper.
So I think everybody's aware City of Aspen has a stage 3 water regulations. Please abide by them. It's really critical that while we have water, we save our water because we have no idea what's coming in the future. hopefully some of the monsoons that are predicted will come to fruition. Not too much rain, but you never know what you're going to get and what you're not going to get. So please be mindful of that. Wildfire season, as we all know, is not a season. It's a year-round event. And we need to be prepared, have your to-go bags ready to go, have everything stocked up. And when you hear that evacuations, if we get to that point, are don't wait, go. And have a plan for your family and your pets. It's really critical. Whatever we can do to assist our first responders is critical, and that's what we as citizens need to be doing. So thank you guys, and enjoy the cool weather, and hopefully we'll have a nice sunny weekend coming upon us. Thanks, Jeffrey.
You're welcome. Commissioner Jacober.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I just wanted to apologize to everybody that I'm not there. I wish I were. I wanted to be there, but you don't want me there. I am sick, so I'll be on this particularly weird screen for the rest of the afternoon. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Thanks, Francie. Feel better.
Commissioner Poshman.
I just wanted to say I chose this last weekend to do a major garage clean out. And I drug everything out of the garage and put it on the driveway, and that brought the rain probably 5 minutes later. And so I pushed it all back inside, and the rain stopped, and I pulled it all back out, and the rain started. And I finally just thought, I'm going to let it get wet. And so I'm reporting that I made progress on the garage. But also, we've had 60 goats on our street in Brush Creek Village for the last 2 or 3 weeks. They're going through and around the houses, and they're basically doing fire mitigation, fuel reduction, and they've reduced fuels. A goat stands up on its hind legs and reaches up about 4 or 5 feet above it. And they have done an amazing job. You can see through the thickets, the dense thickets of brush out there. And then we went in and spent a couple days cutting with chainsaws and dragging the brush out, and we made huge piles on the street. And then Aspen Fire set up a chipping program for free, and they came and chipped it all up yesterday and took it away. And so it's ongoing, but I just want to encourage people, please go take a look at Solar Way if you want to see what the goats and the fire mitigation can do. See that there's more to be done around the neighborhood, and encourage your neighbors to do some fuels reduction around your houses, people. It's getting pretty dire, and I think it's time to do that. And it's not going to help us very much unless our neighbors do it also. So I recommend you call me about the goats. We'll get the goats over there. We'll, start cutting. It's a good time to do it, and it feels good. That's the public service message of the day. Thank you.
Can I ask for a clarification?
Please.
So would you please clarify for the public, these are planned goats. These are not just goats wandering through his neighborhood. They're actually.
We put up an electric fence. So they're inside an electric enclosure, which keeps the predators out and keeps the goats in. So you can control where they go. If you like a little wildflower meadow, as we had in one place, you can fence that off. They won't go there. But where they do go, they just go for it. It's really, and we're starting to name them. We want to keep them. I want to keep a couple around all summer, like Roombas.
Greg
Thank
and his
you.
goats. Thank you.
Oh, good.
Commissioner Mann.
That's it for me.
For the tree huggers out there, there's a cool program this Saturday where ACES is working with a group to distribute 5,000 pheromone packets to Doug fir trees on the backside of Aspen Mountain. So if you have the day free and you want to hike around and help try to contribute to protecting those trees, the program's called the Zombie Forest Quest. No one wants to live in a forest full of dead trees, hence the name. You could just Google Zombie Forest Quest ACES, and there's a registration there. It's free. It's most of the middle of the day, Saturday. I'll be there.
Please, Greg.
Another short one, if I can find it here quickly. It's just that CMC in Glenwood now is entering its second year doing EV technician training classes. And they have a 4 or 5 week program beginning shortly to train EV techs. And it's at CMC right by 27th Street in Glenwood. And if you know anybody who is trying to get into automobile-related work or somehow get into the industry, I'd say that would be a really good bet. And they're accepting applications now. you could go take a 5-week class and then learn how to fix all the EVs everyone's buying. Thank you.
That's great. Great program.
It's kind of hard to top these. I'm going to stick with the wildfire theme, and if anyone's looking to do community level hardening, both Aspen Fire Protection District through the Aspen Wildfire Foundation, or in the Roaring Fork Valley through the Roaring Fork Wildfire Collaborative, are both looking to do community level hardening projects similar to what Greg is describing. So they're both nonprofits in the Valley. Allie Hammond with Aspen Wildfire Foundation, or Angie Davlin with the Roaring Fork Wildfire Collaborative. And they've actually stood up another organization that is called, too much paper in my life, that is a resiliency project that's currently working over at Cozy Point. And that project is called the Resilience Force Project. And it's using trained unhoused and immigrants to do community level hardening. So sort of another organization popping up in the Valley to do community level hardening. Further commissioner comments? Seeing none. Staff comments?
Oh, Rye's not with us today.
I do have one just for the room today for folks. So we have turned on closed captioning. We also do have amplification through the mics. So for anyone that does want to come up during public comment, please be sure to use the microphone.
Excellent. Consent agenda items. We have the minutes of May 13th, 2026, regular meeting.
I'll make a motion to, I'll second.
Excellent. Ted, thank you, Patty. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Individual consideration items, first reading set for public hearing on June 10th. And by the way, thank you for the flock. And
Thank you.
we did debate that bill. We all serve at the state level, so there was a lot of comments and commentary. I would say Pitkin, Eagle. We got a lot from Sonia Macy's out of Routt County, so there was clearly concern about the use of both flock. And so thank you for
Thank you,
coming.
guys.
Thank you for hearing us.
Appreciate it.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Individual consideration items, first reading set for public hearing on June 10th, 2026. I'm looking for a motion to continue item number 2, which is an ordinance of the Board of County Commissioners of Pitkin County, Colorado, amending the Aspen Chapel property restrictive covenant.
I'll second.
And Patty, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're halfway through our agenda. It's 12:18. So next up, Jordana, and is Ariel online? Excellent.
Just me today.
Okay.
Hi, Jordana.
Hi, Jordana Sabella, Pitkin County Public Health Director.
Welcome.
Thank you. And here today to talk about the interorganizational agreement that Pitkin has between Pitkin, Eagle, Aspen Valley Health, and Mountain Family Health Centers that supports integrated care at Mountain Family Health Center down in the Basalt Clinic location. So integrated health care is the provision of mental health, physical health, and mental health, physical health, and oral health, all in one physical building. And so this agreement, there has been a variation on this agreement in place with partners since 2018. And this latest version is really just cleaning up some of the processes that we use together to be able to fund the clinic down there beyond what is covered through federal, state, or local services through a per member per month fee. So that is what is before you today. Can I answer any questions?
I'll just give you an observation. I met with Dustin Moyer a few weeks ago and toured the facility.
Great.
So it is outstanding for Mid-Valley Medical. It's incredible. So really impressed with the offices and what they've done with the building. It looks better than a Pitkin County office. And I don't miss the Chinese restaurant that was there as well. So an incredible job that he's doing, and just, yeah, really well run and well staffed. So thank you. Yeah, Patty.
Yeah, I just want to say, in reading the agenda item summary, it's very well thought out as far as looking at the compensation structure and how we're going to look at the numbers and figure out, which direction we're going, so we can be prepared and plan ahead. And I think having the regional partnerships is so critical, especially in rural communities, because we're all in it together and we can't do things without working together. So I appreciate that collaborative effort. And that being said, I would like to make a motion to approve a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners repealing resolution number 007, 2019, and resolution number 077, 2023, and approving a restated interorganizational agreement between Pickens County, Aspen Valley Health, previously known as Aspen Valley Hospital, Mountain Family Health Centers, and Eagle County, and set this for a public hearing and second reading on June the 10th.
Thank you, Patty.
I'll second.
Thank you, Francie. Further board discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Great. Have a nice rest of your day.
Thank you. Mr. Miller. Sorry, Andrew Miller.
I used to be a teacher, so I'm used to it. Good afternoon, Andrew Miller, Housing Program Analyst, in front of you for second reading of an ordinance to help us sell a unit that the Board of County Commissioners purchased back in January, back from an employee to a different employee. Not much has changed since I saw you 2 weeks ago for first reading. Only additional information I added was I didn't have the full numbers on a little bit additional subsidy that we had provided in the form of Pickens County covering the cost of a special assessment for doing the roof replacement. That entire property is doing all 96 units of roof replacements this summer. So Pickens County paid that special assessment in full, as well as Seasons 4 has restrictive covenants that state that the new owner has to replace the wood-burning fireplace within the first year. So we had that completed just, I think, about a week ago. And so I added that subsidy into here as well. And then thank you for catching on that budgetary impact portion that there was an additional period that shouldn't have been a period. The proceeds of the sale of $649,933 will go back to the 2026 capital fund, not $649.93.
Well, and you saw the $375,000 had an extra zero on the end, third paragraph, third sentence.
That one, thank you. I did not catch that one.
Again,
Thank you.
I think you guys put those in there to ensure that the Board of Commissioners
Are
reads
reading
their
through 'em.
packet, and we do.
I will update that, and then I'll send that over
Thanks,
so
thank
Sam
you,
can
Andy.
get the adjusted
Thank you.
AIS on that one as well.
Anyone have any other comments on the 100th of a cent?
I just know that the employee that's purchasing this unit is very excited. I know that she has spent some time living in Snowmass. She's anxious to get back to that community. And I'm glad that we're able to do this and have an employee in an ownership position in Snowmass Village. I think that's huge. And so I look forward to watching her transition back into Snowmass.
Excellent.
Yeah, thanks for your work on this. Thanks for keeping the unit in the family and in the county. So thank you. It's
Happy
nice
to.
to trade so quickly. So thank you. And thanks for the dotting the i's.
I will do a motion.
Please.
Oh, there's a public hearing. I will wait to do my motion.
So opening up public comment regarding Unit T170, 3 decimal places. Seeing no public comment either in the room or online, bringing it back to the board. Looking for a motion from Patty Clapper.
I'll make a motion to approve the conveyance of 35 Lower Woodbridge Road, Unit T170, Snowmass Village, Colorado, and authorizing the execution of the necessary documents. This, and so the family can move forward and move in.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Greg, bring it back to the board. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. I'll say Mr. Felon.
I was going to say, I don't know if you're going for Daniel again.
Sometimes we're proper and sometimes
true.
we're not.
Dan Felon for the Pickens County Sheriff's Office. I am here asking you to approve our $180,000 jail-based behavioral services grant for the second hearing.
You want to provide a quick abstract for the public as it's second reading?
Quick overview. The Jail-Based Behavioral Services Grant provides funding for case management, mental health services, items that we provide upon release to people that need assistance, items up to a year post-release, as long as they're maintaining contact with our program, and anything else that we're able to try to do to help out. And we're always looking for ways to improve or expand or add on to our program to make it the best that we can.
Thank you, Patty.
Yeah, I think this is a great program. It really does help people stay in touch, which is important for what happens to them when they get released, and also to get back into the mainstream of life again. And so I think this is a great program, and I'm happy to see it continue. So thank you for your work on it.
Thank you.
Further questions?
Anything changed since first reading?
Nothing changed since the first reading. I just looked through. I don't have any extra apostrophes or commas or decimal points, so I think we're good.
We will
Well
give
done.
you the traditional strunk and white, elements of style as a thank you for keeping the AIS clean.
I try.
But he doesn't need it.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. We'll give Andrew a copy. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't pick on Andrew. He's not in the room to defend himself.
Anything further for Dan? Seeing no further questions, I'm opening up to public comment, both online and in the room, regarding behavioral health services. Seeing none, bringing it back to the board. Sorry, Francie.
No,
Okay.
You should mute then.
Seeing none.
I will make a motion to approve on second reading a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners approving a sixth amendment to a contract with the Colorado Department of Human Services Behavioral Health Administration, providing funding for jail-based behavioral services. And thank you.
Motion by Patty and a second by
Second.
Ted. All the further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We will see you bright and early tomorrow morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
10 o'clock, is that bright and early?
Is that bright? I mean, it's bright.
Somewhere.
Red O'Brien and
Hey, that's been fixed.
You got Ted on here this time.
It's been fixed. Hello, I'm Gary Tenenbaum, Pickens County Open Space and Trails Director, and I'm here today for second reading on an MOU with Eagle County. This MOU will allow both counties to transfer funds to each other in the management of Three Meadows Ranch. And so there's been no changes since first reading. So this is just a procedural step so we can all manage this property together, and what Eagle County spends or Pickens County spends, we can reimburse each other.
questions for staff. Gary.
Yeah, did we have a question, or maybe it was answered, or maybe I'm making it up? We were wondering what the costs were so far, kind of a ballpark of what we've put into the parcel.
The costs so far have been about $100,000
Okay.
from last year, and so each county put in 50, and so this allows us, since we spent the majority of the funds, this allows us to recoup half of that from Eagle County.
And then I think the other thing that I think the public might want to know, which I think is great, is that this has provided an opportunity for housing. So there's an on-site property manager of sorts, two units, right?
No, so
Husband and wife.
on the property right now, we have a property manager that's in one house, and that's the main house to live in.
Okay.
So yes, so it does have a housing unit. It has a lot of other structures up there. They're off-grid structures, and we'll be working on those in the management plan. But the one that's on the grid and everything else is where the property
Yeah, I think
manager.
that's such a bonus when we have somebody who lives on site. Not only are they there, but they understand the properties and the pluses and minuses, and that's beneficial for us in creating an overall management plan when somebody really lives and knows the land.
It has been great. Since AVLT is the official owner, they've been the ones dealing with the lease on that and the paying of the property manager. So it's been their employees that are up there. So it's great. And as we move forward, we'll figure out the management between all of us, and we'll see where we go.
It's great. Thank you. Thanks, Gary.
Sure.
Sure, I'll say something.
Please.
Looking at me. I just want to say thank you. It's going great, near as I can tell. I'm hoping this inspires people in the community to do more like this. There's plenty of other large properties that probably ought to be conserved sooner rather than later, and hopefully this will be an inspiration to governments and public philanthropists, foundations. Come on down and let's take care of our property.
Yeah, no, Three Meadows Ranch, I mean, right now is elk calving, which is going on up there. And it's just amazing to watch when you know, we have cameras all over the place, but we don't, there's only 2 people that really, and they really restrict their movement. But it is amazing when you just leave a property alone, how the wildlife responds. And this has been one of those properties. And you know, that's why we're going to take our time, as we talked about with the Eagle County Commissioners. We're going to take our time to figure out what to do with it, because right now it's being managed incredibly well between the 3 partners, and you know, we have 3 great partners that want to manage it for the benefit of wildlife. So it's been pretty special.
Thank you.
I need a tour.
As soon as elk calving is done, we'll definitely get you up there.
How long do you think? I mean, this is the wildlife impacts are being managed and studied right now. How long do you think before you have a sense of, you know, baseline and what we're looking at and management plans from there?
It's a tough one, because the last 2 years we've had very little water, and this year we have no water, and so, you know, trying to understand a property from different aspects, when you're in pretty significant drought, it could change drastically when we have water, if we have a more normal year. And so we would like to take some more time to figure that one out. And so, you know, we're studying it now, and we have, we did an incredible drone flight of it all to learn about the vegetation types and everything else, and we're learning about wildlife every year. But it'll be cool to see how the property reacts to different precipitations. So we put 3 years into the original purchase contract before we'd create a management plan. We might need a little more time on that, and so you know, last year when we had the commissioners up there, I think everyone was pretty happy to go take as much time as needed so we can make good decisions up there. So, you know, we're in year 2. Next year will be year 3. We might need another year depending on precipitation, but we'll definitely, we're not just procrastinating. We're just taking the time necessary. Plus, the good thing is we're doing a ton of management with the 2 people up there, and I'll be very happy once elk calving will be done, probably by mid-late June, to take you up there, and you'll see how special of a place it is.
Commissioner Jacober and then Commissioner Clapper.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind people that CPW, in particular Matt, had said that the most important thing we can do for our wildlife is something like Three Meadows Ranch, and that had a tremendous impact on the future health of our elk herds. So on that alone, it is so worth it.
Patty.
Yeah, Gary, I don't know if you're aware, but as of 2 weeks ago, I believe, the Board of County Commissioners became the Noxious Weed Board.
Yes.
And so that may be a great project for us at small scale when wildlife will allow us. And staff has some designated area that we might be able to come up and do a little weed work.
Okay. Yeah, we're working on that, because we need to identify all those areas. The great thing is also it's in Eagle County, so their noxious weed management has, you know, they come over the pass and they've been coming into the property too. Cool. So the good thing is it's in pretty good shape. The agricultural fields, we found some Russian knapweed and we found some other things, but we'll definitely keep that in mind.
Yeah, and it'd be great to work with Eagle County commissioners, get them pulling weeds along with their noxious weed crew, and make a day out of it. That would be fun.
Cool.
Thanks.
Well, I appreciate Patty's comments. I don't do thistle. And
We can
so-
teach you how. It's not that
We
tough.
can teach you how to eat thistles.
But I will share, I guess for Ted's benefit as well, that so Eagle, Pitkin, as well as the open space boards and staff were on the property in one of the cabins, and after walking the property for a good portion of the morning and listening to the elks bugle, and it seemed like more like they were watching us in the distance from the edges of the meadows. There was unanimity around the group that do nothing seemed like the best option, that preserve and protect this place exactly the way as we arrived. And so I'm sorry you didn't join us that day, but it was nice to hear both the electeds and staff with that as we went around and reflected on the day and that tour. So thank you. I look forward to being back up there.
And you had AVLT there too. So AVLT was, I think all of us recognized the scale of that property is so huge.
Yeah.
And we just didn't know like what we were truly protecting because it happened so fast. As we learn about it and what we told you guys and what you saw out there is there's also a historic component out there too. This area was used by our ancestors and it was used by the Native Americans. And so there's so much to learn out there to just take the time, take a breath, and there's no rush. Some other properties that bound like the Crown and other things, there's sometimes a feel of rushing. This,
Not so much.
it's really one of those places that we could take our time to figure out what we need to do.
Greg?
I just wanted to put in a word for EcoFlight, which would probably take Ted, if you want to go up and look at it from the air, they would take you to do that. I'll offer that on their behalf. And as well as other things up there. If you hadn't, I don't know if you made it up last week, but they were really essential in helping us understand what the place was, because it's pretty dang big.
You can't see a property like that. I mean, we did a whole drone overview of it, and so now we have this incredible map of it, and you can see. But when you see the scale, when you're flying over, and you're still flying over, you're still flying over, and you're still flying over. You go, wow, how big this is. And so when we go out there, you get a good feel, but you can't see the scale. So I appreciate EcoFlight because it was able to get us up there quickly in the winter, and it helped seal the deal.
So this is second reading. I'm opening up the public comment because I'm not seeing further commissioner comments. Looking for either a hand online or a hand in the room. Seeing none, I'm closing public comment regarding Three Meadows, bringing it back to the board and looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the chair to sign a memorandum of understanding with Eagle County for the management of Three Meadows Ranch.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Excellent. Greg. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, Gary. So it is 12:38 p.m. I think there's a
need a
few
break?
folks that thought we would go slower. And so my preference would be to start at the top of the hour or 5 to the hour. This way we would devote the rest of the afternoon to the airport.
Or we
I
could
think it'll
keep
take
going.
staff time to maybe set up, so I think a break would be perfect, just what I was
Short
going to
break.
suggest.
Excellent. So Grassroots, we will see you back at 12:55 for a staff presentation.
Okay, that works. But if you get on the weed board with us.
Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, May 27th. It is 5 before the hour of 1. This is the regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. We have one item remaining on our agenda today, which is a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners overruling the resolution of the Planning and Zoning Commission of Pitkin County, Colorado. Presenting will be G.R. Fielding, Ryan Mahoney, Diane Jackson. Wonderful to see you. And I should start the day by saying happy anniversary.
Today's your 1-year anniversary for airport
Oh my
manager.
gosh, it is. I was like, hold on, I started in December. Thank you.
Nice, Jeffrey.
I was thinking about all my anniversaries.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, which one?
was
But
growing-
thank
it
you
was
so
gr-
much. That's so nice of you. I appreciate you guys recognizing that.
You're welcome.
It's been a joy.
Thank you. The floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you. As you just mentioned, we've got G.R. Fielding. He's going to run us through the contents of the application. So he has been the airfield program manager. And Diane will go into some of the other details related to our air quality and our noise mitigation efforts. And as you see up here, everything that we have been doing thus far with regard to the design process have kept these common ground recommendations in focus. So that relates to our task forces in looking at the terminal and landside design, as well as our airfield. And this was born out of the ASC visioning effort. So moving forward, we'll get into the meat of what is in the application in front of you today.
Hi, thanks all. G.R. Fielding, Jacobson Daniels. My intent is to move pretty quickly through a lot of these slides. As the board saw most of these slides 2 weeks ago, I think we worked through 30 or 40 of them. I'll stop at a few because I added just a few others based on comments, questions, or various board members squinting at one of the pictures. So the program for the modernization is airfield, the relocation of the runway 80 feet to the west and widening it from 100 to 150 feet, relocation and or replacement of all of the nav aid equipment, reconstruction of the de-ice pad, and the commercial apron. For the terminal, it's new, and right now we're about 130 or 128,000 square foot terminal. I believe the board has a joint meeting with the AAB coming up on June 16th to take a look at the schematic design. New parking structure and a new ground transportation center. Also in the program and included in that package was the East Side FBO, owned and operated by Atlantic Aviation, where they'll have a new terminal building, a new hangar, and some improvements to the fuel facility, among other things. Last time we did take a look, this on the right is a rendering of what the new runway would look like. On the left was identification of where on the airfield, looking from the north, a lot of those improvements were. Last time I had this image kind of as a small image on the side. This is the view to the south of the runway, looking towards Buttermilk and Aspen Mountain. I think that was a little bit hard to see, so we blew it up on this one. Most of that area will remain looking very similar to what it is today. We'll have a little bit of trail relocation and potential for some utilities to be relocated in this area as well. This is the area to the north of the runway, where we will have a portion of the runway elevated for its new grading and its new configuration. And then we highlighted what some of the potential new grading on that north field could look like in the future. Here's a larger image of that. Here's another new rendering that the board. Sorry,
GR, sorry, I'd love to just ask a question regarding the new grading.
Yes.
That's not a wall. That's a sloping meadow. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
So that'll presumably be green.
Yes.
It looks like a wall when you
Yeah. From here, being a two-dimensional image, you think, is that a wall?
No, it's not a wall. It'll be a regraded open field as it sits today,
Got it, thanks.
or similar to as it sits today, I should say.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
This area is the teacup, which you would see just off of Owl Creek Road. This is a new rendering that we did not have in the last slide deck. It's because the runway gets shifted 80 feet to the west. The teacup also gets shifted 80 feet to the west. It also needs to meet the 400-foot separation. So this is what that new teacup area would look like. Commercial terminal. We ran through a number of these slides last time. A lot of the the existing terminal is in a low spot. Operations have outgrown the space. The building itself is at the end of its useful life. Admin offices, so some of those uses have actually been exported out of the terminal into adjacent structures, including baggage as well in a tent. There's other trailers to supplement airline and TSA space. So when you add all of that up, we're closer to that 60,000 square foot number as opposed to the 45,000 square foot number. This is an image looking back across Owl Creek Road, back towards where the new terminal would be. These were produced right after conceptual design. Again, the board will be seeing schematic design here in a few weeks. Here's an image from State Highway 82 showing a basic kind of pen and paper outline of what that profile could look like. From near the Rafta stop, same thing.
Another question, quick question, just it'll go quickly, but when you put large cottonwood trees like that in, it just makes me nervous. Do the airports, does the FAA allow you to put 50-foot trees in next to a runway?
Height comes into
What's
play with Part 77 surfaces.
Yeah, so with the Part 77, I think with cottonwood trees, it depends on how close to the airport you are and where you are. And so as we move closer to State Highway 82, we can actually plant trees that can get larger in that area versus, say, up against the airfield. There are a lot of existing cottonwood trees next to the airport. Some of them need to get trimmed.
They get topped fairly
But
often,
other ones don't need to necessarily be touched, especially the further away from the airfield.
Okay, I just want to make sure the renderings we're not indicating that we're going to put in something we can't, but so that's all doable.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
This is your drive down Valley, looking at where the new terminal would be and the potential sound wall. More on that in a moment, Greg, because I know that you'd asked about that last meeting. This is looking from Owl Creek Road, just up valley from the existing teacup area, back towards the terminal. The terminal layout as it was in location and extent. Again, this will be updated here in a few weeks for the board. Same with the models. The vignette that the board had seen. And so that is, a very quick overview. The terminal area, one of the adjustments that the board had made to the resolution in between readings was to look at different areas for the temporary CONRAC. So we are still exploring the Brush Creek lots. We identified these as A1 and A2. I believe that's how it's written into the reso. Also, the board had seen a number of different renderings from Atlantic. We're going to work through these pretty quickly as well. There's a couple added renderings here. This is the new FBO terminal. There is a comparison on this slide of floor area. So that new terminal is about 10,000 square feet. It's a lower structure than what exists today. The new hangar needs to be a little bit taller, and then the existing ground service equipment building. Backside of those two buildings, or seen from 82, although this is discounting the vegetation that's planted, this is just the buildings. This, Greg, is you had asked about what the sound walls look like, and we had tried to describe how berming on the 82 side would happen, but then it would be a full concrete wall on the airfield side. And so the top cross section here shows Highway 82 to the left. The vehicle service road here has the two vehicles on it, and then as you move to page right, it has the berm up against the wall. The lower image shows the various areas where we're expecting that sound wall to be built. It primarily around a lot of that south GA ramp. And that's the ramp that's closest to the commercial terminal. Here's another image of the cross section of how those walls will look and some of their various areas, the Atlantic site. And this is looking from over the airfield at that south GA ramp. And with that, those were just a few of the updated slides that we had on the program. If there's any other follow-up questions, I can take those now before Diane gets into the air quality and noise programs.
How many employees typically park at the airport every day to work? Like when we're talking about parking spots, I know a lot of them are staff.
So on average, I'm going to go with percentages because that's what we've kind of looked at. We have 80% of the LCLOT taken up during that mid shift where some people are there and some people are coming in. So in the middle of the day, you could have as many as, 200 plus cars in there to, as little during the morning as, say, 60 cars. So it really varies because, again, you have that mid shift. It's when all the aircraft are coming into. It's just a very busy time, and unfortunately, it's a perfect storm of passengers trying to find a parking space as well as employees.
Okay, because we've been hearing about travelers parking across at ABC and kind of walking across because it's probably cheaper, but there's also a limited number of spaces.
I think more so than even it being cheaper, people panic because they don't anticipate not having that.
Yeah.
We've really done a good job in the last year of trying to put out PITCO alerts for that to notify people that the parking lots are full, which they are generally almost every weekend through the summer and winter with that. But yeah, I think it's more on panic. Like we've had people park in the cell lot too, which they can't for emergency access, and they'll risk getting towed just to not miss their flights.
And if you were looking at the current rental setup, which is a very small lot, what would be, if you have that many rental agencies, you're trying to think about what would be ideal for their uses? It seems like they're pretty constrained. How many spots are in that parking lot? And
Is it 60? We're going to go with approximately 60 in there. And they do a pretty good job at transferring over. What they would want may not match what our alignment in the community is. They would like a better and larger ready return so they don't have to switch cars out so much because they have a lot of employees running from that little area that you see to their storage, which is further south.
But before we even entertain like a local trying to fly out, we're talking about potentially that many 260 spots just being used for those two services. It is, and
it's a very good point. Thank you for bringing that up. But yes, it's a lot of spaces being used for employees.
Okay. And that was your section, I guess, but.
No, and I think during that schematic review, we can take a deeper dive into a lot of those types of uses.
And we may be able to bring back the dashboard that our new parking company has that kind of shows on average. So the numbers are there on the screen for you all to see what it looks like during an average day for us, because they can track how many people are coming in under their pass versus how many paying and average stays, et cetera.
Thank you.
Sure.
Patty.
Yeah, first I'll tag on Ted about parking. Something I think the public's concerned about is this 800 three-story parking structure. It's my understanding, and this will probably come back, I know it will come back, that we're going to phase that. We don't know if we're going to be building a parking garage for Easter Sunday right from the get-go. And we're able to do that based on a lot of things, which is a benefit to us in some way, is the slope factor at the airport. And I think that comes into play, correct me if I'm wrong, with the parking. But I think the public also needs to be aware it comes in with your scenic impact of the new terminal and the infrastructure that we need for operations at the airport. We'll be building in to the slope a lot of those areas that can be subgrade, that we want it to be welcoming to the traveling public at street grade, at the highway. And so, but there's no reason for people to see baggage getting circled around and going through checkpoints, or break rooms for staff, which we know we need to facilitate better working atmosphere, safer, a more amenable working atmosphere for the staff out there across the board, including county staff. But I think people need to realize that when you talk about a structure of a new terminal, it's not going to all be in your face because of our ability to take advantage of the slope, which is key. Thank you.
Checking in with the public real quick. Can you hear us in the back row?
Not well.
I'll move my mic up more. I don't know if that's going to be
We have a
better for staff.
soundboard.
Is it better? Oh, I can hear it now. Ooh, it's better. I can hear I don't know if I want to hear myself.
So we're gonna start over.
You may want to, but I don't know.
I just wanted to propose that Michael Goldberg is in the house, and he could probably help us sort out our sound system here.
Any questions on the ground side before we move to air and noise? Further questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, and let me know if I'm not projecting. I know I tend to be quiet. So, what are we doing for our common ground recommendations? And I do want to recognize some very important people in the audience today that have helped see this through for the BoCC, and that is our Airport Advisory Board members. I believe that we have our chair and vice chair and other members of our AAB in the room today, and really, they're the ones who have seen this through with staff. Bringing it forward for our common ground recommendations. So what have we been doing? Greenhouse gases, as we talked about, we've been modeling that since, I think, 2006. So the last 20 years, we were one of the first airports to do that. And we've kind of taken off from there. Who do we have doing it? Mead and Hunt. We kind of went through this in greater detail last time. We have a fantastic team working with us with some subs for them and partners. A couple of PhDs, including Roger and Robbie, who've both been analyzing the data coming back from the monitoring equipment. So we're going to get started with the air quality program. What we've done, obviously, we went through our greenhouse gas inventory that we've been working very hard on and continue to. This is something that we are building off of that will come in a few slides, our criteria pollutant emissions modeling. This is required as part of the NEPA process for any of the projects that we do. And it's required that there's no significant impact. And as everyone remembers from our 2018 EA, we did get a FONSI, a finding of no significant impact. This was in there. We actually went beyond that too and included what if appendixes to that too. Nothing was exceeded in that or the written reevaluation for us.
Could I ask you to explain the what if appendix?
Sure, and I think that
detail.
they went into further detail on that, Greg, of what if something happened, what could we do about it? And we're not even there, because I think that's been a question too, is what if we exceed? We would have to look at mitigation measures for that, but we have been nowhere near in any of our modeling and what we're seeing coming back from monitoring too. So that's really important for us to show that we're not even close to having any kind of mitigation measures. The emission measurements, we do have monitors out there. We've kind of talked about this. We have two rather large reference monitoring stations at each end of the runway that people probably see on 82, the north end, more so than the south end, plus 9 screening monitors. We've decided to measure the pollutants up there, the 6 that have health-based standards for them right now with the EPA, something we can do something about. Our idea is to take that back quarterly. We're going to measure it from now to, I think, April, come back in May to the AAB, with that report. They need time to analyze it. I think we kind of went over that. The PhDs will sit there, analyze it. They'll base weather, winds, et cetera, so we can really see where that's coming from, and we can try to delineate the airport from 82. If it was colder, we have wood-burning stoves in the valley that we all know of that bring different things to that. So we will have the PhD team and Jen come back and present that. So we are happy to bring that back to you after the AAB. If you want to go to the next slide. This is kind of where we went through why we were measuring these 6 criteria pollutants. We went through a menu of low, medium, and high. The Airport Advisory Board did land on the mid-tier and taking the extra money to do something that we could do to lower emissions. We are and still continue to research ultrafine particles and look at how that may benefit us, when it's a good time to start monitoring that, if it is. And again, there's just not health-based standards. So at the time the AAB took action on this, there was not enough information that they felt comfortable doing that. They thought that the mid-tier would be the best because we could take the additional funds to do something about that. Because as an example, this is back in 2024, but the ultrafines for 2-week sampling period was $150,000. And they have said themselves that you need many more weeks than 2 weeks to really get an idea of analysis for that and trends. So it was a much costlier tier for them to do at the time.
Can I ask a quick, again, just regarding that? That's a very rigorous study. Could you just describe the difference between a study like that and the rigor with it, as opposed to other studies that are in process? That, if you can,
I think, and again, I think I have Brad on the line because I may be stepping out in front of my skis on that one. But with the criteria pollutants that we have health-based standards, so we can base those on something to say, hey, we're exceeding these, we're not exceeding them. With ultrafines, we really don't know what that means yet because there's not standards out there. Europe is definitely ahead of us, but they still don't have the standards out there with the WHO, the World Health Organization. They're all working on that. I think it's coming over time. And we're just keeping an eye on that. Whereas what we're doing in the mid-tier, we can do something about that and see where we are. And we're also working with the terminal. I think that was a really good point that we all brought up in the first read. We're talking about what filters we can use and how we're going to make that indoor air quality the best we can with the new terminal as well. So there are all things we can do. The ultrafines, we're just not there with standards that we can do something with them yet.
Did you want further details from Brad Rolfe, who's on the line, aviation environmental practice leader?
Brad, do you want to?
I'd ask for some, yeah. If he's there and willing.
I am here. Good afternoon, commissioners. Diane, you stated it very well in regards to the methodology. The only things I'll add is this is an ongoing process. We started understanding and kind of scoping this effort and to support the airport's desire to understand and reduce emissions back in 2024 with monitoring starting earlier this year, particularly as it relates to non-criteria pollutants that have been mentioned. There are not standards for monitoring or certainly health standards around those areas. The thing to note is that that is evolving quickly, and so it is something that our team and particularly our scientists are keeping an eye on as either new monitoring technology becomes available, new health-based standards may be being evaluated, new policy positions are brought forward, both domestically with the United States or internationally. And so those are things that, as we looked at these menu of options, this is what was based upon the decision for our path today. But as we continue to look forward, and if and when conditions change, that we'll be able to present to the airport and to the county further refinements to that process.
Can I ask? The question would be, do you know of any other monitoring or measuring technologies that would be less expensive or more easily available that might help us learn about UFPs? Is there anything else out there that's credible that exists other than this extremely expensive? I'd say if this is proven so far, maybe this is based on science.
So I am not one of the PhDs. I'm in fact an environmental engineer, a professional engineer, PE. So my credentials are are different, but I'll give you my understanding of this, in that what was evaluated originally with this study was the available technology is looking at sophisticated measurements, laboratory type of measurements that do have a higher cost for equipment, such as gas chromatographs and the like. Since that time, there are companies that are developing different types of sensors for ultrafine particles, and that those are now on the market and being sold and are used by different folks. The ability for that to be used in a regulatory context has not yet been established, is my understanding, is that the technology is still being validated and understood. While it does produce measurements and provide information, the full context of that, so for instance, the range of particle sizes that's being evaluated, or the speciation of particles of between those size, or if it's a nucleated or non-nucleated type particle, or things that technology does not differentiate. So I'm not saying that those different monitors or maybe lower cost or different types of measurement are not valid. It's just that they measure different things, and that process of understanding the value of one measurement type over another is still being worked out through the academic world.
And Brad, if I might add to that too, not only are you collecting that data, the PhDs are evaluating it and analyzing it once it comes back to be able to give that information to say, yes, this came from the airport, this may have come from other sources, et cetera. So I think that has a lot to do with it too, in addition to the monitoring, is that analysis time and really digging into the other factors that play into it. And again, the extreme weather conditions that we have here. My understanding, Brad, and you may be able to elaborate on this, the current ones have water in them. So some, colder environments that are using them have heat tape, et cetera. So they're still working on some of the technology for that. And we're keeping a very close eye on that.
Yeah, our monitoring protocol is robust for what we are conducting, and that those reference monitoring stations have very sophisticated equipment located in climate-controlled enclosures, as referenced before. And then we have those other monitors, which are more similar in technology to what is available to monitor also ultrafine particles with a smaller, more affordable. But in our case, what we've done is we've located these monitors in various locations throughout the community to be able to, again, understand with a combination of aircraft operations, wind patterns, and readings across the entire network of monitors, develop a more complete picture of what those, both the contributions to the air quality and the levels of concentration that are being experienced there, so that we can interpret that information, so our PhDs can interpret that information to draw some conclusions.
Excellent. Further questions for Brad or Diane? We're moving over to noise.
I had my,
sorry.
yeah, don't forget me, please. I was going to bring up the issue of the emerging testing, monitoring equipment. And I think there's going to be some options and opportunities coming forward for us. But for us, again, because of our position with the regulatory agencies, they need to be vetted and they needed to be scientifically proven, which they're in the process of trying to get through there. We're just not there yet. So I think the public needs to know that, again, we are not closing our eyes to that. We are following it. The other, probably one of the bigger things for me is with the Common Ground recommendations about air quality with greenhouse gases and local pollutants. When we see issues that we can address, we are doing so. And part of the plan is to continue monitoring and create a new airport, modernize our airport, so that things we do on the ground between the terminal and the runway, et cetera, help to minimize any further emissions or lower existing emissions coming from the airport, such as electrification of vehicles that utilize, the airport property, et cetera, and the new terminal. Having an improved building just in itself, regardless of interior air quality, just a new building will help to reduce a lot of emissions. And I do have some medical background, and I did spend some 10 years of my life studying air particulates because of Superfund. So I do have a basic fundamental understanding. But when we make efforts to clean up air pollution and air quality, improve air quality, that in itself, in my mind anyway, is going to be addressing some levels of the ultrafine particulate concerns, because it's all in the air. And when you clean up the air, you are, with maybe not intended to do so, but at the same time, you will be helping to address all of the issues that are in the air. And I think that's a real positive moving forward step for the county. So thank you. Thanks, Jeffrey.
Thank you. Can we move on to noise?
I just have one thing to add
Please.
to. We did hear from the first read, the request of our commissioners, that we add the sustainability portion to the website. So Kelsey, a shout out to Kelsey and the comms team. They've been working really hard. So we now have a drop down menu that's specific from noise, the sustainability kind of our timeline, and we will be adding to that. Again, it's a work in progress, but we're really proud of the progress we've made within the last 2 weeks for that. So
Thank you, Brad.
onto our noise program. So again, just like we spoke about with the emissions and air quality, we did have to do the contours for noise with the project. The new fleet being in there, with a fleet mix of an A220, et cetera. Again, there was a finding of no significant impact, which means the project didn't increase the decibels by 1.5 or larger. Oh. Well, that's okay. I can just keep talking. However, that does not stop us. The AAB is very committed to noise reduction in the valley as well. We are trying to be good partners and community members. So I apologize. This is probably my fault. I didn't get you the 25 in time. Oh, well, surprise, surprise, folks. The 25 information was just submitted to the AAB on their meeting last week. And you can see there was not much of a difference on the 65 DNL, which is important here. The DNL is the average of the 24 hours for operations. We took it one step further as a community and as an AAB to do LEQ. So basically only considering hours that we are open and operational. And so you can see the slight shift in those contours are because of taking the night curfew that we already have and operations not spread out through 24 hours. FAA, for better or worse, will only regulate to the DNL, so the 24-hour period. However, our noise program tries to do it through the LEQ 16-hour.
LEQ.
It's the same sound average as the DNL, so it's
an
DNL
average
is the
over
average
time.
over 24 hours. The LEQ would be the same for 16 hours of our operation. So they take all the operations that happened in the 16 hours and average them over a year.
Right.
So our program was refreshed in 2024 to include both emissions as well as noise. We feel that it's important to kind of separate them here just so they're each getting equal time to be discussed. But it was refreshed in 2024 to kind of get pilots to understand that both things are important to us, both emissions and noise. This is a voluntary program because our 65 doesn't go into any noise sensitive areas. And as I've said before, most pilots, and especially your fractionals and your corporate organizations like NetJets, FlexJets, they do not want to be on your bad list. They do want to be out there in front of it with technology. I think NetJets has, upgraded some of their fleet to quieter aircraft, et cetera. So they are making steps for that. So really, our program is trying to encourage pilots to first, fly safe. They want to preface anything we do with the safe operation of their aircraft, but also encouraging them to fly as quietly as possible. Some things they can do in this valley, some things they can't. But even if that comes down to not flying in what we'd call our shoulder hours right before we close, 10 o'clock on, if they're not flying within that hour, they get bonus points for that. If they're flying a newer aircraft that's certified quieter as a stage 5. So they're kind of weighed out against each other, similar to a mountain rating, right? For the runs on the mountain. They're rated against each other to see who's quieter. And that list will come out, and they're welcome to reach out to each other to say, hey, I'm flying the same aircraft. What are you doing different here?
Could I ask,
Thank you.
how far back does the noise data go to compare?
Oh my gosh.
And could we compare previous years? I'm trying to remember.
Years ago, but yes, absolutely. And I think Paul, who was our noise expert, actually showed a trend over 20 years of aircraft quality and noise coming, aircraft quality going up, noise going down over that 20 years. Obviously, it takes several years for people to upgrade aircraft. You're not talking about a small investment. But yes, that's actually on our website. The old Fly Quiet reports have been on there. And I call out to you, Jeffrey, thank you, because I think you had noticed that they weren't on there, and we made sure that everything's there. Our website can be a little wonky at times, so we're working on that.
I'd encourage people to look that up and
Yes.
see how well we've done over the years. Thanks.
So this last year, really, and continuing into this year, we're trying to educate, measure, and monitor at our stations to see where we're sitting for that new baseline with things. Scores on how operators perform, again, against their various neighbors flying out there. I don't want to say competitors, but they do get a score. And again, NetJets can see where they are compared to FlexJets or anyone else. So the program doesn't, again, tell operators how to fly their aircraft. We're just giving them suggestions on how they can help improve our community. Because again, they're community partners here too. Most of them are living here, whether it be in the back seat or the front. They just want to be good partners as well.
Patty, follow up?
Yeah, I just had a question. Greg's question about how long we've been monitoring noise. And I know we've also been following air quality for some period of time. And I'm not an expert, put it out there, but it would make sense to me, common sense, that when you're improving and you're bringing down your noise because you're improving either flying techniques or the aircraft themselves, in some way, I think it's also affecting our air quality issues in a positive direction. So the more of those quieter, cleaner planes we can get in here, the better it is to help us achieve the goals that we've set through the Common Ground recommendations. Is that making sense?
It is, and thank you, Patty, for calling that out, because you are extremely right that when you get the newer technology in here, bigger does not always mean worse. It actually means better at times. It can lower the emissions per passenger, and a lot of these newer aircraft, although they may be slightly larger, are much quieter. Just as technology has come around. From the old Learjets, I'm sure anybody who's lived in the valley long enough to know what an old Learjet sounds like. It's
both
pretty
inside
loud.
and outside of those old jets, and we remember the noise. Thank you.
Sure. Just to update everyone as a reminder, this is where our noise monitors are, and we're still working with Aspen Village to go through their HOA to have that placed there as well. Again, getting real-time data and getting the LMAX, which is a single event, what the loudest portion of that flight overhead. And they're really measuring with what they have and what they catch on the monitors to radar data, so they can tell which flight was over that, and they can verify that and get in touch with them.
Excellent.
I mean, this seems like an enormous 9 sensors. What's the end goal? How many more? It seems like this is such a complete picture.
Reducing noise by 30%. Ambitious.
But I mean, how much more of a build out do we need on this program before we reach a level where we feel like we're adequately monitoring?
I think we're monitoring really well, right? In my opinion, we're monitoring really well. It's now educating these pilots on where they're sitting on that, right? Like we have, and I will not call out carriers, one carrier that may have later operations than other carriers. They fall into that shoulder hour, so they automatically may have a lower score than another carrier because they just don't operate that late. So there's things that they can do there. Monitoring will help see where they're at. In that, I do think that we're well covered there, and we can move them as we see shifts or patterns. We can move them around, but we're trying to keep them in one place so we can compare year to year. Just much to your point, Greg, we can compare to year because we used to do it seasonally. Now we have it there 12 months out of the year.
Additional questions for staff?
Are we going to public comment next?
Unless you got additional questions.
I do have one. There was a public comment made before this agenda item just on this topic of resolution of potentially overturning P&Z and what hat we were wearing. This was Tony's comment. What is our role? Where are we in terms of, do we have to define what we're doing just in terms of procedural when it comes to this particular decision to overrule P&Z.
Sure. So you're in the L&E, the location and extent review process. That was submitted to P&Z. They were acting in a quasi-judicial capacity, considering if it conformed with the master plan. And you're now, when it moves to the BoCC, that's under statute. And you're looking at this from a broader lens, with a broader lens. You consider the findings of the P&Z, but you also can consider, or should consider, other factors, public comment, community, expert report. Take a larger view of everything. And then it needs to be approved by a majority of the board. So it would be 3 of you that we need for the approval. So you're in more of an administrative review process versus the judicial process.
I just think it's helpful to know where we are in terms of what lens we're looking at as to how we make a decision here, and that's informative that it's broader.
Yeah,
Thank you.
broader's right.
Excellent, thank you. I'm looking at Commissioner Clapper too, if she had questions online before I open to public comment.
Commissioner Jacober.
Sorry,
Clapper's sitting here.
Commissioner Jacober.
Don't confuse me. I'm already confused now.
There's a working agreement. You've got to recognize all of your commissioners to be a good
Thank you,
facilitator.
Jeffrey. I'm doing fine. I don't have any questions. Diane's presentation was amazing, as well as GR's, but Diane really helped me understand a lot of the work with emissions and air quality, and so really appreciate that, and she didn't leave me with any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, just checking in. So I'm opening to public comment, unless I see anything further from the board. Open to public comment, we will start, since you were nice enough to come into Aspen, we will open up in the room, and then for those people that are lazy and online, we will open up second to them. So I'm not good with a clipboard. So, and for those of you that need a refresher, there's the top 10 ways to handle public comment in the back left corner. You have 3 minutes. There will be an Apple timer that will give you an annoying sound at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, followed by another annoying sound at 2 minutes 55. And I will politely ask you to wrap up your comments at 3 minutes. For those of you that testified at the state in the last legislative session, generally you were given 2 minutes. This is Pitkin County. We give you 3 minutes. So please try to keep your comments to 3
Kara's
minutes.
being challenged over there.
By the iPad magnet. Sorry, technology. Every time I will hold it up. I'll figure out.
Excellent. And the first on the list.
So we'll go in the room. Your mic's thank you. Thank you, Andora. So we have Kevin Bourne is up first, and then on deck is Micah Lavker.
Hello. I was a 1978 White House Environmental Fellow under Jimmy Carter. I since have worked for 40 plus years as a biomedical researcher. Sorry, can you hear me? This is a really hard time to be a scientist in the United States. 25,000 of my colleagues have left this country for other countries because science isn't done well here. The federal government has hemorrhaged all its top scientists out of the CDC, the EPA, NIH, and these are the people you're going to look to for guidance as to what is scientific? That's remarkable, truly remarkable. I think you have an opportunity to take a pause, look at some better data, and to really consider the implications of what's going to happen down the road. The data that we don't have yet is the data you need to build this airport. If you just could wait long enough to collect the data, you could make a really wise professional decision. I urge you to consider that. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin. Hey.
Hey, how's it going? My name is, is this on? My name is Mike Lavker. Pickens County resident for 24 years, and I think the Board of County Commissioners should thank the P&Z Board for its decision regarding the location extent review of the airport expansion project. I think it judged this project with the standards that are applied to all developers in the county. And if a private developer had come to this table with incomplete design plans and asked for a potential 3-story building and additional 2-story covered parking garage, it would have received the same outcome. If the developer had informed you that the final plans were still being developed, the commissioner would not have allowed that project to go forward. I realize that as a home rule charter, this board has the ability to reverse the P&Z's decisions, but that should not negate the fact that they adjudicated correctly. The public voted on the idea of a remodeled terminal and extended runway. I think had they been told that a 2-story covered parking would increase costs to locals, constituents who are the main users of this parking building and terminal, that the terminal would be also 3 stories tall, I believe the outcome might have been different. Regardless of my comments or the resulting outcome of the ballot language, the P&Z board has acted how this board has asked it to act. And I hope that it continues to uphold the values of the citizens of Pickens County and be thanked and congratulated for a job well done. It is my hope that this board takes the decisions and recommendations from P&Z to heart after overturning its decision, so that we as a community can get an airport that fits our values, not just another governmental engine. I'm pleased to hear Commissioner Mann is concerned about the parking garage, and it's enlightening to know that maybe we are not just building a 3-story right off the bat, but that's helpful. And finally, we all ask everyone to commute to work for all other jobs. Putting 100 or 200 employees in a parking garage and building that for them seems a little bit contrary to a lot of the other initiatives that we hold here in the county. Thanks for your time, and good luck with everything.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Thanks, Mike.
You got it.
Hi, Meg.
Hello again. I'm Meg Haynes, Vice Chair of the AAB. I know you've heard me sound like a broken record, but I am here to remind you of the whole picture that you're thinking about for the airport, not just the P&Z limited look at some of the parts of the airport. I'll remind you that the Vision Committee's Common Ground recommendation process was in,
Meg, you need to move up to
was
the
in
mic.
2020. In 2024 and 25, large majorities of the county voters approved 3 ballot initiatives. The county has engaged with an outstanding architectural firm to design the terminal. The FAA federal money, we hope, is now beginning to be received. The community nonprofits and economic facilities have already made plans for the closing in 2027. So, and more importantly, we do need the new terminal, excuse me, as soon as possible for it to be a safe place. I want to conclude, though, by thanking each of you commissioners. You have spent so many hours working on this. Ted, you've worked very diligently to get all up to speed. Commend you for that. Francie, you always ask the important, salient, right-to-the-point questions. Thank you for your attention. Jeffrey, I just am really impressed with your compassion, your fair, your thoughtful way you're chairing the meeting for this difficult decision. Greg, thank you for causing us to form the task forces to do the public outreach that we're doing. And Patty, thank you for always being so prepared on every issue. This is a difficult decision for you, and I know that you all have spent so many hours, so thank you for your good work.
Thanks, Meg.
Meg and I submitted a letter online
there were a couple of points there that that I assume it's for the would be on the record, but I'm responding to the take a pause, and I'm responding with a lot of humility. I wouldn't want to be in a debate with an environmental scientist who would like more information. So I'll respond kind of from what I think is a public policy point of view. You all are trying to figure out what's the best course of action. If you take a pause, what's your thoughts about whether the FAA money would be there? If you take a pause, will the terminal get addressed? So he raised a really important, thoughtful question, and I'm really reflecting on that. But every year my wife and I ask the question, is our house going to burn down? And the answer is probably not, but we insure our house every year. So for the BoCC not to move forward, to me, it would be taking some enormous risk, including the possibility that the forecasts of Amory, whom I've admired and supported for a long, long time, what if his forecasts are wrong? So I'm just saying, I'm approaching you with a lot of humility, but I think you have to move forward, or the unknowns are maybe worse than anyone's forecasting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
And then Chris, Kaylee, you're up next.
I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I wanted to follow up on my concern for the elk grazing in the field on the north end of the runway, which is going to be replaced with a staging and storage area for construction. The current grazing field will also be transformed into an entry point for the airport construction traffic entering from Highway 82. I checked the airport layout plan map approved by the FAA against the map presented to you by the airport development team. The FAA map does not include approval for a staging area where the elk feed. The airport development's team map shows highlighted in yellow the area to be disturbed. The FAA record of decision to the airport states on page 25, environmental mitigation has committed to the following mitigation measures as part of the preferred alternatives. Complete pre-construction surveys and spatial seasonal buffers would be utilized to minimize construction impacts to common wildlife and migratory birds. Surveys will be coordinated with the FAA prior to construction. Ensure no vehicle or material storage occurs in the wetland areas or other sensitive areas. I would recommend that you find another place to store material to be in compliance with the record of decision to maintain elk feeding grounds. It would be appropriate to have access off Highway 82, as this would only involve minimal disturbance of the elk feeding ground. The existing fence would need to be moved to keep the elk from entering on Highway 82. And I have maps, and I would hope, how long it's going to take the safe passages, Roaring Fork safe passages to get their system going. Maybe there's a way of having the elk go underground somewhere that could be affordable. Thank you very much for your time. And if you wouldn't mind passing these around to the...
Thank you.
I'm happy to pass them. Will you do that? Yeah. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I realize how complicated all these moving parts are.
Chris. And then Ellen, you're on deck.
Good afternoon. I'm Chris Kiley, Senior Vice President, Planning and Development for Aspen One. Our planning department has worked alongside our peers at Pitkin County on critical transportation infrastructure projects for decades. In my case, since 1997, which I acknowledge makes me a comparative newcomer among many of the planners here. But we've worked on the HOV lanes on Highway 82, the bus rapid transit system, and the expansion of RAFTA throughout the valley, the creation and expansion of the Buttermilk and the Brush Creek Road intercept parking lots, as well as even the paving of Owl Creek Road. None of these projects, especially the paving of Owl Creek Road, have been easy. All have involved extensive technical coordination, public participation, and community dialogue. But looking back, I think the community has benefited from all of these projects that were undertaken with a bold and a strong vision by the Board of County Commissioners in place for each of those decisions. Today's airport discussion falls along those same critical transportation infrastructure lines, and I support the board's decision today to determine that this project is for the public good, that it is in conformance with the county comprehensive plan, and it is a project from which all of the current residents as well as future generations will benefit. Thank you for your action today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, Ellen, and then Jackie, you're on deck.
Thank you. I have handouts so you can read along with me because you won't.
Oh, I can hand them out for you.
Project
Jeffrey,
my
there-
slide.
never mind.
So read along with me, please. And I'm hoping that Grassroots will put the camera on my graphs so that people at home can see. I'm Ellen Anderson, Aspen Village. I think
Yeah, but we won't be able to hear you if you put the paper in front of you.
I want you to be able to hear it and see. I'm going off script because I heard so many questions here that are really entry level. And what you just demonstrated to me is you need a work session with environmental chemists. We have 2 PhDs, and we would love to sit down. I've suggested it and suggested it. It was scheduled and then canceled, and have point-counterpoint discussion. It's kind of silly to have your person up there asking questions and then we can't respond. I only get 3 minutes. Anyhow, I hear you say that you are very concerned about air quality, but you haven't shown anything. You have no results. The only results you have so far is what Aspen Flywright and Friends paid for and are doing. And this is what the data are showing. When the airport is, oh, thank you, zoom in, open to flights, operations, this is backwards for me, you can see this, the ultrafines, that's the really bad stuff, which you're not measuring, spike at 7 o'clock when air operations commence and plummet at curfew and are down below World Health Organization standards all night. When the airport was closed this past month, virtually all of the measurements were within acceptable ranges according to World Health Organization. This clearly shows that when the airport operations are in effect, the ultrafines are by a factor of 10 times higher than what WHO recommends. That's a fact. It's the only facts that you have right now. And you must pay attention to this. I'll be quick. I sent you many times, and just over the weekend, a lot of literature, peer-reviewed literature on the problems of ultrafines. One done in Europe says clearly that the exposure to ultrafine particles caused by airplanes can be linked to the development of serious and long-term health conditions, including respiratory, cardiovascular, pregnancy, dementia, brain cancer. You must take this into consideration. This is real stuff. Real people, according to these studies, are dying because of ultrafines. Not plane crashes, but slow, agonizing deaths in hospital beds. If you have a duty to protect the public health of the people who live within a half a mile of the runway, these studies were done 12 miles from airports, and prioritize the health of the people who live in that housing over big jets. Public health must come first. You took an oath to abide by the Home Rule Charter, and you abide by that oath, that you need to take care of public health of the people who live here. Have a work session with qualified PhDs before you make a decision. You do not have the information now to make an informed decision.
Thank you, Ellen.
Jackie, and then Barbara, you're on deck.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Francis, and I am an internationally recognized climate expert. I have a master's in climate science, which includes energy systems, atmospheric physics, and chemistry. I am here in my capacity as the chairman of the Airport Advisory Board, and I've spent the last 28 plus years volunteering on airport boards and committees. It's her fault. As the chairman, I would like to read the resolution that was adopted by the Airport Advisory Board on Thursday, May 21st, 2026, a couple days ago. A resolution of the Aspen-Pitkin County Airport Advisory Board advises the Pitkin County Board of County Commissioners to exercise its statutory authority to overrule the Pitkin County Planning and Zoning Commission's findings of nonconformance regarding the Aspen-Pitkin County Airport Modernization Program. And I don't want to read all the whereases, but I want to emphasize that the Airport Advisory Board, be it resolved that we are urging the BoCC action. The AAB hereby urges the Pitkin County Board of County Commissioners at its meeting on May 27th today to exercise its lawful authority to overrule the Pitkin County Planning and Zoning Commission's location and extent review finding of nonconformance with respect to the Aspen-Pitkin County Airport Modernization Program, and to authorize the modernization program, including the runway reconstruction and realignment, new passenger terminal, and FBO facility upgrades, to proceed without further delay. And I'm going to add that I work in climate science, and I study a lot of the future of aviation. I believe that a wider runway won't bring bigger, more dirty planes, maybe a couple, but it will also bring more efficient, wider wingspan, and cleaner planes to our community. I'm also researching the ultrafine particles. I am the head of the emissions team on the Airport Advisory Board, and it was a little frustrating for me that I couldn't answer some of those questions that were being asked, because I do have a lot of knowledge in this space. Ultrafines do travel with other pollutants, the criteria pollutants, that we are measuring. And we can make the assumption that if we reduce our criteria pollutants, we will reduce the ultrafines.
Bingo. Thanks, Jackie.
And I'd be happy to help with any kind of work session.
Barbara, and then Tony, you're on deck.
I'm Barbara Conviser. I am probably one of the older residents of this community, 56 years and counting. I am upset that you have summarily dismissed the findings of the Planning and Zoning group. I think taking a pause is not a bad idea, because there are so many unintended consequences of what these decisions will make. I think there's no question that we need a new air terminal. I'm questioning expanding the scope of the runway. I think we will be bringing in more private aviation. Another thing that I wish our public really was aware of is that over 80% of our traffic in our airport is private. So are we going to be bringing in more private planes? Yes. It's just something to keep in mind. The air pollution issues are amorphous at this point. I think you need to keep that in mind. I think if there's a way to schedule your project so that we start working on a terminal immediately or as soon as possible, and consider what's going to happen with our runway as a very important future decision. Good luck on finding the right solutions. I won't be involved with it in 10 years, but many of you will, and I hope it's the right decision. Thank you.
Thanks, Barbara. Good to
Thank
see
you.
Connie, and then Barry, you're on deck.
Could you hand these out for me, honey? Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. For the record, my name is Toni Kronberg, and I'd like to say, how many times have I mentioned to the Pickens County Commissioners that I truly believe that Pickens County is going to solve the entrance to Aspen congestion problems? With the airport being the nexus of the solution. This may come as a surprise to many people and probably most of the Pickens County Commissioners, but I would like to say a huge thank you to ZGF Architects, Ryan Mahoney, the ski company, and Michael Miracle, because most of you know that I have been working on a Highway 82 gondola project from Brush Creek Park and Ride that goes to the airport, Lumberyard, Buttermilk, Trescott, downtown Aspen with a lake to Buttermilk and Snowmass. Well, in the airport layout plan the program that you are approving today, there is enough space reserved for a high-speed occupancy gondola in the FAA-approved layout plan. For me, that is a celebratory milestone. It's a project that I've been working on for at least 10 years. So my immense thanks go to everyone that's worked on this group, but specifically ZGF Architects, because they listened. The ski company is very aware of all the values and goals that we have with our company. Ryan Mahoney, he's like the glue that pulled everything together, and Michael Miracle, who is the cheerleader and made sure that we had enough space. The other good thing about it is that Brush Creek Park and Ride, the county now owns, and that would be one of the starting points for the first terminal. The light rail corridor is soon to be studied by the city of Aspen. That could be utilized for the gondola. Points connecting, as I already said, Lumberyard, Buttermilk, they're in place. The main thing is the parking garage. We all have the same goal. We want to reduce single occupancy vehicles, reduce greenhouse gases, cleaning up the air, and it doesn't make sense to have a parking garage where you're going to increase the traffic. What I would like to make note of now is that the FAA record of decision for the airport, in your packet right there are 3 clauses in there. The first clause is an environmental consequences of the preferred alternative, and it says that, let's see, I've got to pull it over here, sorry. It says that these were excluded from consideration. It says travel by automobile bus, reliance on ground travel is not a realistic alternative to access the Aspen area given the added travel time. What's really interesting to note is on the parking garage that was eliminated. It said that approximately 1,713 spaces would be needed to meet the demand. And it's saying due to a lack of financial feasibility, is that the end of it? Mm-hmm. That, but you can further reading it, that parking garage, if you are going to increase the number of parking spaces, you're going to trigger a new environmental impact study or an SCIS. And then the very last
Final
thing,
comments.
that
Please
will be
wrap
it. But thank you so much, but you can see where I'm going with this. That, and hopefully when we have that transit study that with a joint meeting, that the parking garage will be fully addressed and that you will take into consideration
Thank you, Toni.
the record of decision. Thank you.
And then Joni, you're on deck.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Is this thing on? Yes, it's on. Hi, I'm Barry Vaughn. Be wary of workshops, expert workshops. They can descend into gladiatorial contests between partisan paid quote-unquote experts. I used to make my living that way. Just be wary of it. Could be good, could be not. Some people have tried to turn these proceedings into a referendum on ultrafine particles. Witness this polemic that has been distributed and published in the local paper. That's not what this is today. That's not what we're doing here today. What we're doing here is you're deciding whether you're going to overrule P&Z. Okay, it's been more than adequately documented that P&Z got it wrong. Whether you look at it through the lens of just what they looked at, the memorandum that I submitted to you shows that they got it wrong. That the master plans, the applicable master plans, the airport modernization plan does not conflict with them. And if you look at the broader scope, as has been so eloquently expressed by so many others and by yourselves, if you look at the big picture, they need to be overruled. But as to UFPs, right, to the extent that there's interest in that, there would be no harm, and perhaps there would be some good in having the AAB investigate and report on what the leading U.S. airports, and that ain't here, are doing on this issue. If you look at LAX, if you look at SeaTac, if you look at Logan back in Boston, they've got programs underway looking at UFPs, monitoring, trying to figure out what to do with them. And they do not have a pause. They do not have a precautionary moratorium at any of these airports saying we're going to stop while we try to figure out which way is up on UFPs. Instead, they're moving forward with airport modernization, capitalization, maintenance, and moving forward, while at the same time looking at UFPs. What are they doing? Maybe it would be good to have AAB check not only to figure things out for ourselves with our own retained experts, but also to see what these other airport authorities are doing. The science on UFPs is still nascent. It's still in its infancy. But the things that could be done as a practical matter to reduce them, those are not high science. Mitigation steps are all relatively understood, and there's a consensus, I believe, on that. Electrify the ramp, electrify the ground fleet, electrify the gates to reduce APU use, promote SAF use over Jet A, embrace cleaner, quieter, safer fleet entrance. Implement, my favorite hobby horse is the blast dispersion wall that I recommended years ago to try, it's not going to get rid of it, it's not a complete solution, but to try to get better dispersion of the contaminants of concern as well as the UFPs. All of those things could be done. They can be done in parallel to, as part of the development of the airport, and the study can be on the other side. You have, I'm going to pull an Amory here, forgive me, but today the task is, it's just, your path is clear. Overrule the P&Z and move forward with the airport modernization program. Thank you.
Thanks, Barry.
Thank you, Barry.
Joni, and then Mike Stranahan, you're on deck.
Joni, you're on.
Oh, okay, thank you. Wonderful to be with all my good friends again. But I really wanted to make sure I had some time to talk again today. I got here in 1971, and I started working for Klaus Obermeyer. I still do. I helped him get his build. When I got here, our Obermeyer building was a little shack down here. I got Larry Yaw to do a design for us. We're at the Airport Business Center. We were able to stay in town and keep Obermeyer in town. I was dating Stacey Stanley at that time. He was the mayor. Our bumper sticker was, "Do not Californicate Colorado." I got put on the Planning and Zoning Commission and wrote the first growth management plan. So I love our P&Z, our whole town, and how we work together and create innovation. I worked on John Denver's WinStar Foundation, member of the Board of Trustees, worked hand and foot with Rocky Mountain Institute. What Amory has put together with Ellen and others is vital, important gifts from us to absorb fully, because this is the biggest deal in town. When I flew in, it was Rocky Mountain Scareways, and we were getting rid of the cows. And so I am looking forward to a renovated, state-of-the-art, most sustainable, Aspen-friendly airport. I am looking forward to that.
But I'm also aware of the hazards that we have now that we didn't know about as much until now. And it's vital, 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 because bad air could ruin our whole community and kill everybody with their particles because they're on the ground most of the time, going through the neighborhoods. And a lot of the neighbors I talk to in that area are very, very worried about not having a good work session on this. So please, please, let's have at least one work session and get everybody together, because this is vital. Move forward at a pace that reflects the concerns of everyone in this town. I had friends that were on some of the first airport committees that left because they felt they were being not respected and railroaded. Let's keep us all talking and bring the best of the information. This is Aspen, folks. We have Mrs. Pepke looking over us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Toby.
Mike Stranahan?
Let me check.
We'll go to Rocky.
Stop playing with that.
Hi again, good afternoon. I'm Rocky Krager. I'm here as a citizen and a father. Those are my only credentials. I only really have 2 points to address. One is what I talked about last time, democracy. The other is safety. I follow along what's going on in the community. I saw Amory Levin's letter to the editor about a week ago, where he put forward the idea that the 3 votes we've had were not representative of what people wanted because they didn't know the facts. And I don't have my own poll, but I do ask around a lot, and because I'm involved, or at least I care, people talk to me about it. Nobody I've talked to thinks that their vote, that they didn't understand what was at stake. So I think the idea that it was incorrectly put on the ballot to confuse people is wrong. I think people understood what they were voting for. At least I did. So that's my first point. Secondly, safety. It's a bigger ball of wax, a lot of consequences, unintended consequences. I can't speak to the science, but I can speak to safety. I think we all can agree that Colorado has grown over the past decade or 20 years, whatever timeline you want to look at. Certainly Highway 70 has, Aspen has, and I think we can all agree Highway 70 is not very safe. My oldest daughter was involved in a rollover accident by Idaho Springs. Fortunately, she was okay. I was almost hit and almost killed trying to retrieve our rooftop carrier. Blew off our car by Georgetown, where that wind tunnel is. And like an idiot, I went out and tried to retrieve the baggage and didn't realize 80-mile-an-hour cars were coming at me, and still traumatized my family who were watching that happen. But my hope, and unintended consequences, is that we get safer airport. My real hope is that we get less expensive flights to get in and out of here. And then that's my dad part of it. So my kids, they don't live here, and they like to come in and out of the valley. So hopefully we can get more air service and better air service, and it's not dirtier or any more onerous to our quality of life. But I don't have a private jet, and I do need to leave Aspen. So I do hope that the airport improves. And my hope is that the unintended consequences are the good ones and not the bad ones. So I do urge you guys to stay the course and overrule P&Z and get us a new airport. And I do appreciate your time, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Rocky.
Thank you. We've got Dave, Tanner, and then I don't know if that's all I've got on the list. Yep, you're up.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Tanner, President and CEO of Aspen One. Thanks for making the time. Thank you for your leadership in this consequential moment and endeavor. You and your predecessors have done years of incredible work on behalf of the community and should not go unnoticed and unappreciated. I personally understand being in the decision-making seat to have to make tough calls and balance all the stakeholders and having to make the right decisions for the larger good, despite not everybody seeing things the same way from their more limited view. This airport has been studied, has been debated, has been voted on ad nauseum, and now is a time for forward progress. I can't stress enough the importance of this airport to the health of our business, and hence to the entire community, given we're the lifeblood of this community. In our minds, taking action is not optional. The Colorado ski industry and our business overall has changed in recent years and is under pressure. Skier visits have declined in each of the last 3 years since I've been CEO, lucky me, and in part due to our airport and overall transportation ecosystem. As a company, we're not growth obsessed and looking for massive visitation growth, but we need to stabilize the current pressures by enhancing the quality of experiences we provide, part of which is at least having a functional airport and more aspirationally, a world-class airport. We're going to be coming to all of you in June in public session to talk more about these pressures on our business and how we can work together more effectively. Because it's our belief if we don't work together with more intent on smart transportation and housing solutions and continued support for our on-mountain innovation, over a 10 to 15-year horizon, Aspen Snowmass could lose its livelihood with dramatic impacts to the community. Having a world-class airport does not drive visitation growth. Even the opposition voices know that the limiting factor on visitation growth in our community is our bed base, not airport passenger counts. Community growth can and should be managed by other levers beyond holding the airport hostage. If we get this airport right, the experience will improve for everyone and make Aspen world-class as it should be. This is really important. Any creative ideas about trying to end around the federal government and operate outside their system of standards and protocols has the potential for catastrophic risk of having no certified or operable airport. And it's especially unwise in the current vindictive political environment. This is a risk we should stay many, many, many miles away from. P&Z has some valid points on a few issues we need to continue to work through, the balance between mass transit and single occupancy vehicles and getting the terminal size right. But you have a very capable staff to continue to work on this. You don't have to pause this process to do so. Rest assured you're on the right side of the facts and well supported as you make this decision you're about to make. On behalf of our company and the entire community, I want to thank you for your thoughtful consideration and admirable leadership. Thanks.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
That is all I have on the list, unless I know more folks have come into the room.
So Bill in the room.
Good afternoon. I'm Bill Tomsich. Had a chance to address you guys. I was one of the lazy ones 2 weeks ago who was joined online, but I was running through an airport, and I was able to share a few comments about the newest engines that power commercial aircraft. I refer to a real quick Google search that I made that it's amazing how much information we now have at our fingertips compared to 7 years ago when we were going through the whole ASE visioning process and the technical working group. You can now just Google in a question, what are the quietest engines for commercial jet aircraft, and instantly come up with an answer. And I talked about the Pratt & Whitney GTF geared turbofan engines and the CFM LEAP family engines that are likely to power any of the larger aircraft that are coming in here in the future. One of those particular aircraft is the Airbus A220. We've talked about it before. It was identified as a likely candidate during the ASE visioning process. And 3 of the commissioners who are at this table or online heard me talk about this a year and a half ago with a letter from the mayor of the city of Newport Beach in California, which sits right beneath the flight path for departing flights out of the John Wayne Airport. 2 of the commissioners here are new, so I want to pass this letter around again. I've made 7 copies. I just want to refer to 2 quick sentences that I think are very relevant. The city has long sought solutions to mitigate the noise and air quality impacts associated with aircraft overflights. And at John Wayne Airport, the A220-100 replaced Delta's old Boeing 717 aircraft, and our community immediately realized the benefits of the A220's higher climb rates and the quieter engine technology. To demonstrate it's during the first flights here, the A220 measured 5 to 8 decibels lower than acceptable noise limits at some of the JWA monitoring stations. This is an aircraft that is now flying today. Delta is the largest operator in the entire globe of this particular aircraft type. There are now 86, 45 of which are the smaller variant, the Dash 100, that would be very well suited to this airport. And where are most of them concentrated? At their Salt Lake City hub, less than an hour flight west of here. But we don't have any of those flying in here today, even though it would be an ideal aircraft. Finally, I want to close with what about the larger, noisier private jets? You do the same quick Google search, quietest jet engines for private jets, you will come up with 3 quick results. Rolls-Royce Pearl 700, which powers the Global 7500 and 6500. You got the P&W 800 series, which powers the Gulfstream G650 and the GE Passport. So these are all the types of aircraft that we are likely to see with the runway improvements. They're all quieter, and they a lot lower emissions, and this was an intended benefit during the whole ASC visioning process, is to allow these quieter, more environmentally friendly aircraft. It's not an unintended consequence. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, looking at the board, do we need a break between, so the board says yes, so grassroots, we're going to take till 1:30 or 2:30 for those of us who can't tell time.
like, where are they? And I'm like, oh, they're on this, and then. When is that? Is that 4th of July? 2 weeks. We usually do it like mid-June. Okay, nice. I think we have reservations for 4th of July. But of course, like, it's so weird. We used to be so much. Yeah, I mean, and then the kids, and then when they get older, they're like, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what your kids like when they get older, if they're still as into it, because I think it's like, oh, if their friends go and stuff, and it's yeah, I would know. So it's like one of them is I don't know. And then another one is a couple of the girls. That sounds typical for that age. Yeah. Good. So we need silence from you. You've been waiting for so long to say that.
Good afternoon. It is May the 27th. This is the regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. It is 1:30 in the afternoon. We are still on item number 7. We're taking public comment. We have one additional public comment in the room regarding the airport modernization program.
Sure. Gretchen, come on up.
Thank you all. My name is Gretchen Straub, and I have no pedigree. I have no experience in any of this. All I can say is I've lived here for 45 years. And the biggest question, I guess, in people that, friends and community members that I speak to, I do hear concern about the airport. But it breaks down to a couple of different things. One is that the airport itself is necessary. Does it need to be safe? Absolutely. Do we need a new terminal? No question about it. And there's a lot of issues, I know, environmentally, et cetera. But the main thing that, for me, that this comes down to, and my theory is I can't bitch if I'm not willing to open up my mouth and say how I feel. I do live a half a mile from the airport. I do hear them. I do smell them, et cetera. That's all off the table. I'm not even going to bring any of that up. You have experts to talk about that. For me, the fact that the airport itself serves 80% private planes and 20% residents. That's a balance that is, to me, completely unequal. The terminal will be for the benefit of us 20%. The runway, for the most part, not entirely, but for the most part, is for the 80%. And it comes down to, are we a commodity or are we a community? That's what it's about. Is money going to always dictate what we do and how we decide things in this town? Or are those of us who live here, who have worked here, raised our families, and want to be here full-time and for the foreseeable future, do we get a stronger voice? Do our concerns and our needs get a little more, what do I want to say, a little more weight than those who come in briefly, don't live here all the time, and really don't have any skin in the game other than owning property and wanting to come visit? I realize we're a tourist economy and we need to keep that in mind, but bottom line, are we a community or are we a commodity? Safety is important and our health is important. Anyway, I'm grateful that the P&Z did come forward and stated their case. So thank you all for at least giving me the opportunity to say my piece. I want this to be a community, not a commodity.
Thank
but
you,
it may
Rich.
be too late.
Thank you. Joni.
So we're going to go online. Mr. Ittner, you have the floor.
Unmute. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Can you see me? Maybe not. My name is Rob Ittner. I served as county commissioner from 2011 to 2015. I'm running for county commissioner now, and I would want to go on the record that I would encourage the board to overturn the denial and allow this process to move forward. To me, the most important aspect of this decision is not that every question has already been answered today, but the real work still lies ahead. We need to begin moving forward so that the so that the detailed work can continue. Assessing budgets, air quality, transportation systems, parking, terminal sizing, terminal location, and many other elements still remain unfinished. This is a process that will require extensive diligence over the coming year and likely beyond. I trust county commissioners both today and in the future to work closely with county staff and the community to ensure that the airport ultimately meets the goals of safety, environmental responsibility, economic sustainability for our region. I served as county commissioner from 2011 to 2015, and during that time we developed an airport master plan. At that time, we honestly believed that many of these improvements would likely move forward within 5 to 7 years. Even then, we understood the complexity of the FAA requirements, budget realities, and the balance between community needs and community concerns. These challenges still exist today, but I also believe, just as I did then, that the BoCC can be trusted to do the hard work necessary to make sure that these goals are not only met, but exceeded. Approving this step does not end the conversation. It allows the conversation to continue, the analysis and the refinement to continue in a meaningful way with all the people that are in that room, both participants and the Board of County Commissioners that are there. In fact, it's one of the reasons why I really desired to run for county commissioner again, was the ability to make sure that that conversation gets driven at the BoCC. I voted for the ballot question to give the BoCC control over the airport, and I believe that those are people that will make that happen. We have a great BoCC right now. I would be honored to fill Patty's shoes, but
I'm going to stick. You're going to please stick to the resolution. Thank you. Bronwyn? Bronwyn.
Hi. Sorry, I had to figure out how to unmute that. Thank you for your patience. So my name is Bronwyn Anglin. I also have no real qualifications to tell you about, except that I've been a resident here since 1997. I'm asking you please to not overrule the P&Z. I'd like for you to consider the fact that P&Z, put a lot of careful thought into their determinations. I do definitely support the need for a new terminal. We desperately need a new terminal. But like the lady who spoke just recently, I do question the need for the runway changes. Obviously we need a new runway so that we don't have to keep closing every year, but do we need it to be changed to the extent that this current plan is calling for? Over 80% of the runway is for private use. So this crowded airspace does lead to many delays and sometimes cancellations. Commercial flights don't get any priority over the private planes, and I'm not sure that the general public understand that. I know a lot of my friends don't understand that. More private planes would lead to a higher percentage of runway use, and we're pretty maxed out already on the commercial use. So that would lead to even more delays for the commercial passengers, such as the gentleman who spoke who wanted his children to be able to fly in. This is a major concern to me because I can't afford a private jet either and would like to be able to keep using the airport as a commercial passenger. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Bronwyn. Further hands online. Final call for further hands online. Seeing no hands online, I'm closing the public comment, bringing it back to the board, and I'm looking for closing comments from board members. I will start with seniority.
Oh, jeepers. So as the senior member of this Board of Commissioners, I'm passing
meant
it
Greg.
to...
I meant Greg.
I'm passing it to the new guy. No, I'll take the lead. I'm not afraid of it. I've been here before, done that many, many times over many years, and a lot of times related to the airport. I think it's imperative, first of all, that we thank P&Z for their time, their energy, for putting in a lot of passion. I believe that there were some areas that were overstepping their bounds as far as what location and extent is supposed to address. Just so the public knows, I sat on planning and zoning for years before I became a commissioner, so I'm familiar with the process. And it's very difficult. P&Z has to see things in black and white, where the BoCC has some wiggle room, some discretion. That's just how the system works and the authority that is granted to the Board of County Commissioners. I have concerns, of course, about noise and air quality. I think we're going to be addressing those as we move forward, as we have addressed them in the past. I think the public, excuse me, needs to be reassured of that. The concerns over general aviation versus commercial, I know people are tired of hearing it, but it is the truth that we only have so much control over the airport and airspace. It's called the federal government, and we wish we could say we want 5 GA an hour. We don't have control over that airspace. That is out of our control, out of our purview. So I want the public to know that we understand the delays, the commercial issues. I think the point about whether we're a commodity or a community is really well made. And if we want to move forward and have a safe, a cleaner, a more efficient, a more capable airport, there are some things we just need to figure out how to deal with at the federal level. And I think we can do that with the support of our community, which the community supported at the ballot box. Almost 67% of the voters said to move forward with the modernization of the airport. They did so understanding. Our voters are very informed here in Pickens County. Trust me, I think we all know that. And to say that they didn't know what they were voting for really is a hard one for me to swallow, as it should be for all of those who voted to support the airport. And and about the same amount, about 60%, voted to support the BoCC on ballot question 200. They denied that question, which was taking away the BoCC's authority to do just what's before us today. We have the authority statutorily, and we have the authority by the County Home Rule Charter Land Use Code, I believe it is, to move forward and overrule P&Z. And I think it is in the best interest of the community to move forward on the airport at this time. And I'm sorry that it means overruling P&Z, because I know, again, how much time and energy and effort and passion they put into making their decision. I wish we could separate out. We all know we all want a terminal. It's a puzzle, and the pieces need to fit together. The runway, the aprons, the taxiways, the de-icing, all the parking, all of it are pieces of the puzzle. We can't just do one piece of the puzzle and expect the other pieces to fit it at some future date. That also affects our ability to fund it. Do we want to put that back on the shoulders of the people in this community to fund this entire airport? No, we need to show the federal government, we need to put their money where our mouth is and say, we're going to get this airport done. And I think now is the opportunity to move it forward. So I will be supporting the resolution. And thank you, Jeffrey. At first reading, you added some whereases or therefore be it's or findings in the resolution that I'm comfortable with. And I appreciate the work of the AAB, the resolution that came forward. And I know it's been a hard one for the AAB with a lot of their concerns they have about noise and emissions. But I think if we work together as a community to move this airport forward, a lot of the good things that have come up in these discussions we're having today, we've had over 20 years, we can move those forward. But we need to be able to communicate and collaborate with each other, not take stands on either side. So please, I'm asking the community to come together again, move this airport forward, and let's talk to each other and see what we can do to make this a safe, a clean, a sustainable airport that we can all be proud of and we can all utilize. Thank you.
Commissioner Jacober.
Well, thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, Patty. You said everything I wanted to say. I just wanted to add a thank you to everybody who spoke and to the P&Z. And I believe that we should be moving forward as well.
Rocks, paper, scissors. Greg?
Sure, I'll go. Although I'm possibly younger than both of you, but possibly not.
Did you include me in that? Yes, you definitely.
I'm reflecting on something Jim Light said to me a few minutes ago. He said, this is our community where we have a concern, we care about virtually everyone here and what they say and what they have to offer. And I think it's really important that we hear. And what I hear a lot is fear for the future from the people who are in favor of the airport, and fear for the future from the people who are so worried that this airport is going to change their lives in some horrible, miserable way. And I do think it's easy to take advantage of those of the community and stoke fear. And I think that's happened here. And I hope I haven't participated in stoking fear. But I perceive it, and it's upsetting. But as Jim Light counseled me, my counselor, he said, it's really important to listen to what everyone has to say and remember we're all part of a community. So I want to take that forward. I guess the P&Z did their job. They did a great job, but their purview wasn't as broad as ours, and their scope of understanding of what's happening, honestly, wasn't as broad as the BoC's has been over the decade that I've been working on this and been involved. And we do appreciate, we appreciate them, and we rely upon them for their opinions. But a time comes when we have to make a decision, and it's unfortunate that it was framed this way, that we would be overruling the P&Z, but I honestly agree that has to happen here. It's taking all the emotion and all the anxiety and trying to take the fear out of it. What we have is a broken appliance, broken infrastructure that needs to be replaced. When it gets replaced, it has to be upgraded according to federal standards and our own standards. We have our own standards of cleanliness and environmental concern and noise. And we're actually working to do our best to create an airport that will do that. It's time to fix the appliance. And so I guess I'll be flippant for a minute here against my better judgment and just say, you know what? Pardon our dust. We're going to build this thing. We're going to get it done. It's going to be a great airport, and you're all probably going to be using it. And I think somewhere down the road, you're going to be appreciating it. And finally, I want to talk about UFPs for a sec. I'm really interested in UFPs. The monitoring devices that are emerging seem to be reaching a point where they're practical for application in industry, things like that, and they may have some value. The one that's being used by Aspen Flyrite, I've looked at the specs very briefly, but I see it works down to about 41 degrees Fahrenheit, and below that temperature, it doesn't really, they don't consider it accurate. I'm not sure what other certifications it would need to be taken seriously by the scientists in the world, but the fact is, it couldn't hurt to install some of these things so we can develop a baseline of data. And I proposed that in the very first meeting we talked about UFPs, and I still think it wouldn't hurt. It's not going to stop me from approving moving the airport forward and overruling the P&Z because it has no relevance right now to this decision. It simply doesn't. And I want to share that I've admired Amory for 30 or 40 years. I've known him almost that long. And I realize that he's a visionary and he's looking 30 years ahead. And what he's seeing is a new form of pollutants that ought to be measured and understood better. And maybe in 30 years we'll look back and say, you know, wow, I'm sure glad we measured those things. But the fact is, at this point, there's nothing that we can do we can't close the airport based on some hypothesis about UFPs. And so I'll leave it at that. I'm sure there's always a retort, but the fact is we need to keep moving forward. Pardon our dust. Thanks.
Can I just really quickly add? You mind, Ted?
The junior member will give you the floor.
Yeah, since I'm the senior oldest, we did already schedule a work session on UFPs. We said we would at the first hearing. We said we would do that, and we have. Jeffrey, I believe it's published now on a future upcoming work session agenda. We haven't really finished the details as to who will be presenting and speaking, but I want everyone to know that we took it seriously. And Jeffrey, I think you have the date of the hearing. I'm looking at staff too. When?
June 9th.
June 9th.
That should be a Tuesday, correct? Yep.
Yeah. So I want everyone to know that we took it seriously. We stood behind our word. We have scheduled a work session. We haven't, again, who the speakers are going to be, how the presentation's going to go, but we're moving that forward. So I wanted to thank Jeffrey for putting that on our future agendas.
Thank you. And thank you to Ryan Neely, who's not here, who did some of the legwork for that. And thank you to Anne Marie for filling in. So thank you. Yeah, Ted.
Okay. Yeah, thanks to everyone for all the public comments. That was a lot. I actually took some of my comments off my thoughts here because so much was discussed. And I had said in the first reading, it's really nice to live in a place where everyone cares so much about what we have here, and that's why we're all so passionate about the directions that things take. I do want to first say we all care about pollution and environmental hazards. I actually take offense at being told that I don't care about that. Noise pollution, air pollution, we already study PM10s, PM2.5s. We're already obviously talking about going down in ultrafines. I care about microplastics. I care about glyphosate in all my food. I care about forever chemicals and everything we're touching and wearing. And Pickens County, if anything, that I'm learning in the time that I've been here, has always been a leader in this space, and I would expect us to continue to be a leader as this conversation develops on the air quality. It's not something that we're dismissing, and I also agree with earlier comments made by Patty that if we were reducing all our other air pollutants, then it would make sense that UFPs are being reduced as well. So that's one way that I look at this and say, okay, I'm okay with where we are right at this moment. With all that's been discussed, though, it's probably important to just bring it back to what we're actually talking about today, which is a pretty narrow question. Do we want to overrule P&Z? And that's not a small thing to consider. Their concerns are real. We're not dismissing them, contrary to some other comments. I actually think they are being included in all of our discussions. We made additions to the resolution just based on P&Z's recommendations just at first reading. So no one's dismissing P&Z. They play a very important role here. But it's also important to know their decisions are not absolute. They're just one factor to consider. And I appreciate hearing earlier that we are allowed to consider multiple factors. So the AAB approved the resolution, so that's something to consider. You know, the CGR has kind of brought us to this point, and that's something that we need to consider. Then there's other things that we haven't even talked about all day, like how about the community of businesses here who are kind of feeling paralyzed, who want to know, what are we doing? We're already into summer, and in a year we'll be closed, and we need to move forward on this because people are planning, and these are everything from individuals to vacations to corporate groups. We've had meetings with ACRA that there's a lot of concern, and I understand how that would be frightening if you're a business owner to be like, wait, what's going on? Are they going to continue dithering? Which is what I feel like we're sometimes being asked to do, to hit the pause button. So like, I need to consider what businesses are thinking. I need to consider what my community of friends and neighbors are thinking, because they too are trying to adjust. What will my work look like? I mean, these are huge questions, and I don't even think they've come up in any public comments today, although, I mean, maybe to some degree. So these are all important, and as is P&Z. But I also need to apply a little common sense here, because that's kind of what our job is. And like, if people are saying, well, we only want part of this, but not the whole package, like, to me, I don't think it seems like common sense to be trying to build the third busiest airport in the state that also isn't approved by the FAA. Like, I don't know how I could stand behind that, you know? We have to show fiscal responsibility here. Something that's not conforming to me is a sense of fiscal responsibility that says we don't want to take grant money, we want to pay for this all ourselves. So, to me, I'm challenged by that, you know? And I think everyone should kind of understand this. So overruling P&Z is a big deal. It doesn't happen very often. I learned yesterday it's actually quite rare. To be thrust into this isn't the most comfortable thing, but yet here we are. But if I didn't, the counter to overruling the P&Z is to overruling the public vote. And that was also very clear. So which side of this do I want to be on? You know, it was clearly mandated that people were giving the authority to the BoCC to make these decisions. And I think, you know, I actually am kind of dismayed to see the casualness that some people want to dismiss a public vote and the results of that and say, you know, that's just an inconvenient data point. Or like was earlier said, you know, people, they're not smart enough to know what they voted for. They were fooled. Like, I think that's an actual insult to our community. So, you know, kind of feel like I'm kind of rambling here and going in all different directions, but I think it's important for us on the P&Z topic, which is what we're tasked with here today, is to take the feedback, see where we can apply it in the plans moving forward as we're still in design phase, and move forward with this whole project. And I think that's all the junior member of the board has to add.
We will close out with the freshmen, I guess. I think the goal when you review architectural plans, structural, mechanical, is to come up with a better plan. So at the end of the day, it wasn't did P&Z do a good job or not in their dozen hours of deliberation, but it was how did they influence the overall trajectory of the project and to the benefit of the community. And so one of those, for example, is the West of Maroon plan. That was the plan that they looked at and said, well, how does the new airport plan sit relative to the conformance of that plan? And so at the end of the day, the time that we spent as a community isn't a pause. It's as part of the cycle or the rhythm as we go from conceptual to schematic to design development to construction drawings. And so we're in that flight plan right now, or path. And I believe that the time spent, we alluded to it a couple times, and I'll read out the findings so people can say, yes, both the public comment as well as the planning and zoning process fed into the overall resolution that we're all about to adopt today. And so I think that's a critical part of what we've done as a community over the past month. So if it feels like we didn't move the ball, we did. We, for example, in the findings said, we want a dark sky airport, right? No one in the community is asking for that. Yet everyone at this board table said, no, that would be spectacular. The only other community in the valley that's already dark sky is Old Snowmass. Could we have a dark sky airport like Jackson Hole, Wyoming? That's leading towards the most sustainable airport in the world. And so I think when you look at the components and what we've evaluated over the past couple of weeks, I think it's fruitful. I think we'll look back in a year's time and agree that I think this is a better project. So number one, I think that we're hitting that goal. Number two, I think the community is looking for certainty and clarity, and it has to start at this board table. We need to honor the closure dates we're about to announce for the 2027 season. We will have those out to the public in the next couple of weeks. Our businesses, visitors, and residents are in need of certainty, and I'm looking at staff in Pitkin County and the airport that we need to know the years of communities, ordinances, task force, and maintenance closures. We need certainty in 2027. So that's sort of the next vital step. Diane, I've already congratulated you on your anniversary. We've spoken a lot about air quality at this table, and I think the board has to have sort of an added mission that we need to look at health before cost. And so when you look at a slide and it says, here's the value or the cost of isolating or evaluating air quality for 2 weeks, we need to say we're about health first and sort of cost second. It does matter, but at the end of the day, I think the business decisions should be about health. I want to clear up a couple of things that we heard that probably are not correct, but the maximum number of operations that will take place per hour is unchanged, right? We will have one runway tomorrow and the next day and next year. So the average number of operations per hour is 10. The maximum number of operations is 28, or 14 takeoffs and 14 landings. That is unchanged, and I think that's critical for the public to understand. The RAP procedure, not big RAPs, the RAP procedure is unchanged. The curfew is unchanged. So a lot of what we love about a small airport in rural Pitkin County, those aspects are unchanged. The number of gates and flexible gates are virtually unchanged from today's terminals. I think this is important, and I'll lead to it in the findings. The growth in the terminal size, we've all lived through 9/11, and some of us lived through 7/7. Part of the growth in the square foot, 7/7 was the tube and bus bombing in London. Part of the growth in the program and the programmatic needs are driven by the federal government, by the TSA, and by security. So when we look at and evaluate whether it's a 128,000 square foot terminal versus a 60,000 with all of its outbuildings and accoutrements today, the growth is not a doubling. It's really partly to meet the programmatic needs of the TSA, the US government. And I think that's critical as we go back to the US government for both airside and groundside funding, that part of the program on the ground side is the US government, right? It's the health and safety of the flying public, but it's also baggage claim and screening devices and all of the stuff that you don't see as the public. This is my geeky point. Apologies if you thought everything before was. The airport layout plan is as per AC 150, 5300, 13B airport design, and the airport demand forecast. That is published by the FAA. Everything that we're doing in the ALP is as per the FAA guidelines. So there's a misnomer in the public that the runway is about accommodating privates. It's actually not. If you read the airport demand forecast, it's about accommodating a plane that has a gross maximum takeoff weight of over 150,000 pounds. And for those of you that are arguing that it's the G650, it doesn't exceed 150,000 pounds. It's about the design aircraft for the airport. It's about the A220-100. So see me later if that didn't flow through. Our staff has been integral to the new terminal and the new runway. So I know it's convenient to debate whether parking should be on-site or off-site, but for the time that we spent with airport staff, with Jacobson Daniels, with ZGF, the architects, with PAE, the mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineers, it's not fair to staff to start at 4 a.m. and say you've got to catch a shuttle from Brush Creek. So I think part of that need is let's take care of our staff that work at at the airport and provide parking on site. I'll finish with some numbers and then go into findings. So the 2025 Colorado Aviation Economic Impact Study puts the ASE airport, Aspen Airport, at $1.4 billion of total business revenues generated by ASE. 416.8 were generated by on-airport activities, and 934 million were generated by visitor spending. This is our economic engine. It's a critical economic engine. Again, we need to think about health before money, but at the end of the day, it's vital to our business. I'll leave you with, we've already started signing grants with the FAA. The last one was 9.6 million, which was for the design and the runway. And so we as a board will continue after this meeting to work with our legislators in Grand Junction and Washington, D.C. in bringing down more money for both the terminal and the runway. In terms of public comment, the board added 4 findings, and in terms of planning and zoning. So one was to exclude the property and so findings are basically a whereas, and then we add them. For those of you that didn't get to 225 in our packet, page 225, to exclude the property depicted in the WAMP, which is where we have our battery energy storage, and instead use the parcels depicted on Brush Creek parking lot, A1 and A2. I think number 2 is just as important, to explore dark sky compliant lighting for the landside terminal and parking area, right? So to be as cool as Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Okay. And number 3, again, reiterating that part of the growth in the terminal side is related to federal needs. And then number 4, we heard you, that there's health and safety concerns about air quality, and so there's 3 items, if you will, in the findings. One is a recognition the ASE currently monitors environmental quality at the airport, including air quality and sound levels, and the BoCC will continue to be committed to that environmental responsibility as follows. The BoCC will continue to track air quality and continue to build out an air quality monitoring program that recognizes nationally recognized air quality standards and emerging environmental health science. The BoCC will continue to track noise levels to meet or exceed federal standards so that future mix operates quieter. And the ASE will continue to lower greenhouse gases at the airport emissions reductions, which was already solidified through the Common Ground recommendations, but reiterated again through both the P&Z review and then the findings of the Board of County Commissioners. Did I trigger any follow-on comments from commissioners? Commissioner Mann. Oh, and
Thank you. I was going to say the same thing. Thank you for your thoroughness.
And I had one more point. It's going to take me about, well, please proceed to building permit. And I think there'd be a relief in the community with those 5 words. Please proceed to building permit would be my final. Patty.
Yeah, just to expand on what Jeffrey just said, there are some planned projects for this upcoming summer, things we can get done outside the obstacle-free zone at the airport to stage us up for the big project starting in hopefully April of 2027. And this will help us keep on the time frame and reassure the community, especially the business community and the traveling public and the locals, that we are going to get it done in that time frame. But we need help getting some of the staging areas done sooner than later. And that I have to say, and I will say it publicly, that when the federal government sees us put a shovel in the ground and move some dirt to start the runway, my hope beyond that, I'm taking it to Washington and saying we're doing what the federal government asked us to do and show that we are serious about doing airport runway improvements for safety and for efficiency and for the future. And that will help us get grant dollars, which will help the community as a whole in keeping our airport where it should be, with financing coming from the federal government. So thank you, Jeffrey, for putting that in there. So hopefully that shovel will be turned. And I said if we need to send Ziploc baggies full of dirt to everybody in Congress, we will do so.
Francie and then Ted.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, commissioners, for taking the time to fill in all those details. I just didn't have it in me to do today. I do want to say, though, that, and I think, Jeffrey, you touched on this, and that there's been concern that we haven't thought things through, and the staff hasn't looked at all of the factors involved. I just want to assure you, as I did at the first reading when I talked about the number of hours our consultants and staff have spent on this, that they have looked at everything and they will continue to do so, and that they have the best interests of Aspen in mind and the entire valley. So thank you, commissioners. I appreciated your talks.
Thank you, Francie. Ted?
Yeah, I'd just like to reiterate one thing that Greg had said, I think.
Can't hear anything.
Just like to reiterate something that Greg had said earlier. With where we are and everything, I think it's a good time for everyone to start working together on this and quit trying to be coming at each other from different teams, because this is something that we all need, we all know we want to some degree, and I do think that we can collaborate on things and hopefully move together and get to some endpoint that we're all happy with.
Greg? Patty?
So may I, as a senior member of this board sitting at this table, I'm now going to use that position to my full advantage. That won't surprise any of you in the room. Would you mind, sir, if I made a motion? I would like to make a motion to approve on second reading after second public hearing, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Pickens County, Colorado, overruling the resolution of the Pickens County Planning and Zoning Commission of Pickens County, Colorado, finding the Aspen-Pickens County Airport Modernization Program not in conformance with the 2012 Aspen Area Community Plan. Oh, I did not do that. Aspen Area Community Plan. I got to get light on this. Shine some light. Thank you. Okay, not in conformance with the 2012 Aspen Area Community Plan and the 2013 Western Maroon Creek Master Plan and the applicable provisions of the Woody Creek Master Plan and the Brush Creek Master Plan, and authorizing implementation of the Aspen-Pickens County Sardi Field Airport Modernization Program.
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Motion to approve, second by Francie. Any further discussion? Any further last-minute thoughts?
I'll just add that I look forward to going to Washington with Patty and getting some more money.
And would you do a roll call, please, vote?
I would welcome a roll call vote. I'm going to do something uncharacteristic. Carousel Nagel, any closing comments before I go to roll call?
Oh, on top of it, I would just echo, and I think the leadership that you all, this board, prior boards, and future boards, for what you are trying to take on for this community and for the staff and for the community that has engaged in this for years and years, and echo the sentiments of we are really taking this step forward as moving forward on behalf of the community. And thank you all for your continued engagement. And thank you, board, for your continued leadership.
Thank you. Ted Mann, I have a motion to approve.
Aye.
Francie Jacober.
Aye.
Tricia Clapper.
Aye.
Greg Poshman.
Aye.
And Jeffrey Woodruff is an aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Alan. We really appreciate the public comment and the public concerns. Thank you.
And,
Now you guys can clap.
I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Oh, wait, do we have open
We
discussion?
don't have any open discussion items.
So seeing no open discussion, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I'll
Second,
second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.